Pirates Full Level System, Chapter 501-520. Chapter 501 Thousands of meters, do not stay. Qin Luo was stunned. Who could tell him what happened in the few seconds just now? A few seconds ago, Qin Luo also took the time to confirm the state of Sha Suzanengu. The armor value was full. He let himself go, and beat the children violently. As a result, in less than 10 seconds, he turned into a phoenix on the ground, and Susanoo shattered again. Sengoku in front of him was already dying, and it was even more impossible to ask the old man with a scar in his hand. In just 1 minute, Qin Luo gave the old man with scars all the illusions in Shui Lun's eyes except Tianxian and Izanami. In just 1 minute, the film, 10,000 Ways to Die, can be made with the old man with scar as the protagonist. The saliva flowed out of the mouth of the old man with scar uncontrollably, his eyes turned white and scattered, and the old man with scar was obviously broken. Even so, Qin Luo still didn't get the news of the devil fruit tree from his mouth. During the time Qin Luo fell to the ground, the enchantment of the anchor of time and space began to vibrate, and the enchantment at the top began to shrink and lower. It kept shrinking and stopped less than 15 meters away. At this height, even if Qin Luo flew into the air again, he could easily attack with the strength of the people in the square. Qin Luo also noticed the shrinkage of the enchantment, but he didn't care, and he could feel that the entire enchantment was starting to become unstable and could be broken at any time. After the purple Susanoo shattered, Qin Luo seemed to have stabbed a hornet's nest. Marine and CP0 to CP9 people rushed forward one after another. Qin Luo has really learned a lot. The unique Marine Rokushiki special skills, various swordsmanship and devil fruit abilities are woven into an attacking network around Qin Luo. Like a Marine Vice Admiral in front of him, his Renkyaku Tempest Kick is knocked out through the knee. Qin Luo admired his imagination, so this Vice Admiral's life resume added such a line. He was an excellent up-and-coming Marine Vice Admiral, knowing he had a shot in the knee. Yes, after Qin Luo dodged his attack, he used the repulsive force to condense an arrow and directly inserted it into the opponent's knee, abolishing his leg. Coincidentally, there are still many people who master the fighting technique. If they are lucky, they will be kicked by Qin Luo. If they are unlucky, they will lie on the ground after one move with Qin Luo, or stay behind something. As for those with devil fruit abilities, except for the slippery Kizaru, as long as it was delivered to the door, Qin Luo never let it go. His devouring ability is already hungry and thirsty. Devouring these ordinary devil fruits does not need to spend points at all, but the opposite party is here to send points. A man who seemed to be in the world government rushed out from the ground, trying to pull Qin Luo into the pit. This person has the claws of a beast. If you guessed correctly, it should be a mole or a pangolin animal fruit ability. Qin Luo's eyes were sharp, and the moment he saw him, he pulled him out of the hole with force, and inserted his left hand into the heart. The ability to devour was activated, and the devil fruit reconvened at the man's heart, and the claws on his body gradually faded back to the original arms. With the death of the man, Qin Luo heard the prompt of the system to get 800 points. After the goal was achieved, Qin Luo pulled his left hand away, and blood spattered from the heart of the man's corpse at this time. With the first experience, Qin Luo became more proficient in earning points. Because the unconscious old man with a scar was always on his right hand, Qin Luo only used his left hand to deal with the incoming enemy. Move and deal with it, until Qin Luo hits from the edge of the square to the center of the square. On this 800-meter-long road, countless wounded and corpses fell one after another. This is probably killing one person in 10 steps, not leaving 1,000 miles behind. Qin Luo thought a little narcissistically. As for the difference between thousands of miles and kilometers, the illiterate will not know. Along the way, Qin Luo gained more than 4,000 points. The one that appears the most is Zone's devil fruit ability. The only exception is a Paramesha glue fruit ability. The ability of this glue devil fruit relied on his whole body to turn into glue, trying to stick Qin Luo's hand. His behavior is tantamount to taking chestnuts out of fire. Didn't you see that the big bosses of Logia were cautious when facing Qin Luo? At the moment when he wrapped Qin Luo's left hand, Qin Luo was also unceremonious, devoured his devil fruit, and in his disbelieving eyes took out his body from his gradually turning back to human form. Heart. And of course he couldn't die any longer. Iron King's Cannon Fist. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders did it himself, and the fist that covered armament hockey rose to the size of a cannonball and fell straight from the sky, drawing a black straight line and hitting Qin Luo's head. Qin Luo took a step back, and Gorosei, 5 elders, Iron King Cannon punched the ground at his feet. Boom! That piece of ground was hammered into the soil, and a lot of sand was shaken into the air by the aftermath. In the dust, Qin Luo and the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders fought again 7 or 8 times in a row. Golden Gangfang, life-threatening Rankyaku, Tempest Kick, Thousand Lineage Shigan, Finger Pistol. This beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders is far more accomplished in marine Rokushiki than anyone else. Even Kong is a lot worse. However, this did not prevent Qin Luo from relying on his physical strength to block these attacks one by one. Qin Luo had just left the dust-shrouded area when a dark shadow surrounded him again. It was the bald Gorosei, 5 elders who was controlled by Qin Luo with Bitianshan. Bald Gorosei, 5 elders, and the black dragon appeared with its claws, and rushed towards Qin Luo. This black energy has a miraculous effect on those with devil fruit abilities. Qin Luo may not have felt it before, but now how he sees it, this black energy is like a variant of the black substance used by Aedu in the Undead Fleet. And both have the ability to restrain devil fruits. Qin Luo thinks that next time he wants to find a bald head and have a good chat about life, he will find out where his ability comes from. When Qin Luo was thinking wildly in his mind, the black dragon had already come to his side. The claws of the black dragon swept fiercely, bringing a stench. Qin Luo's left hand stretched out his index finger just like a dragonfly on water, lightly touching the black dragon's giant claws. The screeching sound of metal scraping echoed throughout the square. After several collisions, Qin Luo clenched his fist with his left hand and slammed into the claws of the giant dragon, and the powerful force flew straight out with the black giant dragon, hitting the barrier of the anchor of time and space. Chapter 502 Cooperation and Killing. Even if it is his own person, Qin Luo has no plans to keep a hand, not to mention that this own person now needs to take action against him as an undercover agent on the opposite side. Qin Luo can't be waterproof on purpose either. If you are acting, then you should do enough. After flying for a while, the bald old man fell to the ground and slid all the way into the barrier. The bald head is a little helpless. He had foreseen this situation before he shot. Qin Luo's strength, he is more aware than others. Another old man with a knife who is also very clear is now queuing underground waiting for reincarnation. However, in order not to arouse the suspicion of other Gorosei, 5 elders, the superficial skills must be sufficient, so he simply came to get a beating. In the end, the bald old man still struggled to stand up again, holding on to the barrier of the space-time anchor. Before, he was not trying to find a way to find a compromise between saving or killing the old man with Scar and not destroying Qin Luo's plan. Although he could just pretend to pass out, the plan to rescue or kill the old man with Scar would still be carried out by someone else. In order to help Qin Luo get the position of the Devil's Fruit Tree, the bald old man is also a fight. But will his plan really work? The bald old man was repelled by Qin Luo and did not stop the attacks of Marine and the rest of the world government. The attacks continued to follow. Qin Luo's response was also more determined. This time he did not retreat, he stayed where he was, and used one left hand and 2 legs to deal with all the attacking enemies. Marine and the people of the world government have also become smarter. Their attacks are often repulsed with a single blow, reducing unnecessary damage, and more of entangling Qin Luo here. Despite this, the number of corpses or wounded lying beside Qin Luo continued to increase. The smoke and dust aroused by the battle dissipated little by little, revealing Qin Luo and the panorama beside him. In addition to the people who arrived in one place, the most striking thing was the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders at Qin Luo's feet. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders disappeared after fighting Qin Luo for a few times, and the others thought they were beaten by Qin Luo into an unknown corner and left. Unexpectedly, he has been trampled on by Qin Luo all the time. Doesn't that mean that they may have stepped on or injured Gorosei, 5 elders unintentionally during the battle just now? Marine and everyone in the world government are meditating on the Buddha's blessing in their hearts, bless themselves not to offend the Gorosei, 5 elders. Their worries were unnecessary. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders was knocked unconscious by Qin Luo and stepped on his feet. If he wanted the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders to wait for the resurrection, Qin Luo had already done it, and he didn't have to wait until now. Qin Luo would still need him later, so he couldn't let the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders die so easily. In this case, Qin Luo doesn't mind at this time, using some small means to weaken the prestige of Gorosei, 5 elders in the marine, the world government and the world. Come to think of it, the reporters outside the barrier who are not afraid of death will clearly record all this scene. The black dragon of the bald old man roared and attacked again, at full speed, and had a tendency to perish with Qin Luo. Both marine and the world government admired the strength and determination of the Gorosei, 5 elders. Because of the angle, they couldn't see the bald old man flying over and giving Qin Luo a frantic look. The bald old man's eyes blinked wildly, first looking at Marine, then at the scarred old man in Qin Luo's hand. The dialogue in the bald old man's heart at this time is, Lord Luyun, they want to save or kill Scar. I have a plan for me to save Scar, gain Scar's trust, and get information on the location of the Devil's Fruit Tree. The plan is very brief, but what's the use of blinking your eyes? You can only blink without using Morse code, and you can only understand it by psychological induction. Not to mention what a broken plan this is, it's only a ghost if it succeeds. Even if Qin Luo understands the meaning of bald head, he will pretend not to know, and you are enough to count on a sloppy brain to come up with a good solution. So, in Qin Luo's eyes, the act of blinking with a bald head turned into sand in his eyes. What a dedicated undercover agent, he didn't even have time to wipe the sand in his eyes, and he worked hard for his acting skills. In this case, I can't live up to the painstaking efforts of the bald head, just add a little more anger. The invisible repulsive force was mobilized on Qin Luo's left fist. The highly condensed energy made the air a little dignified. Qin Luo's actually kept rising, and the killing intent released made everyone around him feel a little hard to breathe. The discomfort caused the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders at Qin Luo's feet to wake up. The bald old man stopped blinking, and he had a premonition that something was wrong. First of all, Qin Luo not only failed to understand his intention to release water on him, but also strengthened the strength of his next attack. What's more, he knew that he was going to suffer, but he couldn't stop. This move of the bald old man has increased the speed to the maximum for the sake of momentum. This is a car with 2 accelerators but no brakes. He wanted to get out of the car, which was not a car for kindergarten at all. This was the last thought in the mind of the bald old man before he was shot by Qin Luo. The black dragon flew backwards at a faster speed than when it came, hitting the barrier of the time-space anchor and sticking to it. Red and black splashed on the barrier like exploding water balloons. The bald old man was honored to line up again and wait for his resurrection. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders was completely awakened by the sound of the black dragon colliding with Qin Luo's fists. When he opened his eyes, he saw the distorted face of the bald head that was knocked away by Qin Luo, and the bald head that fell to the ground. Several bloody teeth. It must have hurt. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders shuddered at this scene. The billowing smoke caused the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders to cough violently. And this cough naturally attracted the attention of Qin Luo who was stepping on him. Qin Luo was about to lower his head to see the condition of the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders at his feet. As for the scarred old man who was dragged to the ground by his right hand, the broken toy could not attract him the slightest attention. But a voice appeared beside Qin Luo. Speed is weight. Have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? Don't look at Kizaru again. This is to make a sneak attack while his left hand has not been retracted. Could use that amount of time was Kizaru, a glint fruit person. A laser was aimed at Chin Luo's face and kicked. But will you be happy just like this? In Chin Luo's eyes, the pattern of the kaleidoscope writing wheel flashed, and the flame of Amaterasu was about to generate. Kizaru suddenly disappeared. He ran away, the moment he felt the danger. At the same time, a long spear suddenly sprang out from under the ground. Kizaru is just a cover, this is the real killer move. Chapter 503 Earn Interest. This long spear is about 2 meters long, and it should be used as someone's long-handed weapon, not thrown out like it is now. Wrapped in a thick black armament hockey, and suddenly burst out from under the ground in the form of black lightning. Chin Luo's previous attention was attracted by Kizaru's feint, but this time he couldn't react at all. But the spear wasn't coming toward him. To be precise, the target of this spear was the old man with a scar on his right hand from the very beginning. The spear blade in the rapid state will easily pass through the front of the scarred old man's chest, and continue to fly upward with the headless corpse. Chin Luo looked at the scarred old man's head in his hand, smiled helplessly, and threw him on the ground. I was not aware of it for a while, but was exploited by the Marines and the people of the world government. Chin Luo was more annoyed, and had a feeling of being deceived. The bald old man unknowingly did it, and he played him around with Kizaru and another person who threw a long spear. As for the pity, there is no pity. Chin Luo has used all kinds of martial arts on the old man with scars, but he didn't dig out the information of the devil fruit tree from his mouth. Chin Luo had already given up, and after he had enough points, it would be easier to control the opponent directly. Next, what Chin Luo has to do is to find out the person who threw the spear and took the life of the old man with the scar from his hands, so he must be ready to receive his anger. Judging from the angle from which the spear jumped out, the enemy should have been hiding under the ground long ago, and had dug out a fixed space. Humph! Chin Luo made a displeased sound. His left foot continued to step on the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders, and his right foot stomped hard on the ground. This beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders is still useful, but can't be killed anymore. The powerful force and the repulsive forces of various back and forth hedges scurried under the ground, and the underground tunnels and holes were collapsing rapidly. Isn't that Marine Marshal Kong? After Sengoku took action to drag Chin Luo to the ground, Kong disappeared, and he hid under the ground to hide his breath. Use the information reported by others to determine Chin Luo's location. It is impossible to save the old man with a scar. It's almost like pulling a tooth out of a tiger's mouth, so from the beginning, Kong and the others were ready to send the old man with a scar to wait for his resurrection. Kong ran out from the ground before it completely collapsed, covered in dust. Kong also planned to hide in the crowd. Thinking well, Chin Luo was already prepared and wanted to attack again, but there was no door. Gravity emerged from the body, grabbing it from the air. Kong flew upside down and fell into Chin Luo's hand, replacing the old man with a scar. This time it was Chin Luo's turn to hold him. Just as the plan to ask the location of the devil fruit tree has gone bankrupt, Chin Luo is going to collect the interest, prepare a big gift for the Gorosei, 5 elders and prepare to leave. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders were picked up by Chin Luo's other hand and placed with Kong, and the necessary threats were still required. How arrogant! Gorosei, 5 elders, relying on their own resurrection, but not taking other people's lives seriously. Is the location of the devil's fruit tree really so important? The repulsion and the gravitational force came to the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders and Kong through Chin Luo's hands to wreak havoc. 2 grunts rang out, and blood flowed from the corners of Kong's and beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders, mouths, apparently suffering serious internal injuries. Gorosei, 5 elders won't speak with this level of damage. Chin Luo simply dragged the two into the illusion together, and felt a little bit about what happened to the old man with scars. The black light flashed in the eyes of the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders and Kong. This time Chin Luo just used the moon reading on the two of them, and didn't play him like the old man with scars. Luyun, cheer me up. I don't know the location of the devil's fruit tree. Only the eldest brother and the second brother know about this, really. Gorosei, 5 elders, Soul power is much stronger than Kong's, so he took a month to read the world. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders still have the strength to beg for mercy. Kong has only the strength to roll his eyes. Oh, it's this time, you still have to play tricks. Qin Luo thought that the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders were already telling the truth, but at this time they needed to beat the Gorosei, 5 elders again. I don't know if the lives of the world government and marine will make you think about it. With that, Qin Luo pointed to the sky. The gravitational force condensed together at the maximum density, and a black hole appeared in the air of the square. After many years, Qin Luo once again used planetary devastation in the Holy Land Mariajoy. The land on the square was stripped away little by little and came into the air, and there were screams and struggles everywhere. Kazaru and the Logia Devil Fruit ability user on the rock side only had time to save some important people, and more wounded and unconscious people were brought into the air little by little. With a pop, the space-time anchor enchantment pushed by planetary devastation shattered. 2 of the 9 dead servants died directly, and the remaining 7 dragged their heavily injured bodies directly into the space. It slipped so fast, Qin Luo glanced at them and ignored Deadpool. The people in the square are now in your mind, if you don't tell the location of the devil fruit tree. Maybe you don't care if all these people die. Without the barrier of the time anchor, the entire Holy Land of Mariajoy begins to perish. Sea water, buildings, and land all gather on planetary devastation. In a blink of an eye, the inland river that was dug out to park the marine warships had been drained and destroyed, and the warships were all stranded in the dry river. Luyun, I don't know, I really don't know, you won't have to force me. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders shouted mournfully, almost coughing blood. If this goes on, the execution ritual will change. The funeral of the sanctified Mariajoy. Now several Gorosei, 5 elders are awaiting resurrection except him, and the Tenryubito of the Holy Land cannot escape from this disaster without their protection. When everything happens to Tenryubito, the Gorosei, 5 elders will also be buried with them, which is not acceptable for the beige-haired old man. Bullying to this level is almost the same. The inner defense line of the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders was basically completely broken by Qin Luo. 500 devil fruits. Qin Luo stopped the movement in his hand and pretended to be indulging. Clams. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders was a little unresponsive. 600 devil fruits will be delivered to Fishman Island within 2 years in exchange for your dog's life. Qin Luo said. This. 700. Qin Luo's voice increased a bit, and planetary devastation turned again. 700. Just 700. Chapter 504 Leave a Mark. Unlike the 10 billion devil fruits that were usually joked in the past, this time Qin Luo actually asked Gorosei, 5 elders for 700 devil fruits as Luyun. And Gorosei, 5 elders should be given out within 2 years, not less than 1. The 10 billion devil fruits that Zephyr and Qin Luo had agreed to at the beginning were supposed to be regarded as a joke or a sign of cooperation between Zephyr and the Snake Committee. Qin Luo has long forgotten about this, and only his IOU still has the funny number of 10 billion written on it. Even if Qin Luo really wants to get the devil fruit through this IOU. Oh, then you go to Zephyr to get it. He is the one who signed the IOU, his name is also his name, and he is the only one who takes the responsibility in the end. And ask Zephyr for the devil fruit. Forget it, this unfortunate child, even when he dies, can only use the cold seastone prosthesis instead of his unicorn arm to masturbate. There are no devil fruits, and if you want the fruit of doom, Zephyr is happy to give it to you. 700. Beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders were almost a promise. The devil fruits in the world government and marine's inventory have been almost looted by Qin Luo. 700. This is a number that is difficult to come up with in 2 years. Even taking out the stocks in Tenryubito's hands wasn't enough. Unless they use the batches of devil fruits that they and Tenryubito sealed away. But the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders quickly rejected the idea, and those batches of devil fruits have many abilities that even the world government would find troublesome. The Gorosei, 5 elders did not want to hand over all of these fruits, which would only make the world more difficult to control. And with 700 devil fruits, Lu Yun will build an almost invincible force. This is the behavior of the enemy. After agreeing to Qin Luo, the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders fell into an infinite tangle. But even if the time is reversed, and again, he can only agree to Qin Luo because of the situation. Whether it is the Holy Land Mariajoy that was destroyed again, the Tenryubito that was wiped out, or the elites of Marine and the world government, they were not acceptable to them. The occurrence of any of the above is enough to shake the world government, and the Gorosei, 5 elders, rule over the world. Not to mention that these three things are very likely to happen at the same time, if Lu Yun is not agreed. His brothers should understand him, thought the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders. Getting what he wanted, Qin Luo stopped the continued operation of planetary devastation, and the huge gravitational force stopped. However, planetary devastation at this time has formed a sphere with a radius of at least 400 meters. On this behemoth, there are still some buried marine and world government corpses. It's so good, if you promise earlier, you can suffer less. With your strength, the devil fruit tree is like a pearl in your hands, and you will be violent. I hope you can honestly put the devil fruit next time. Tell me where the tree is. Qin Luo waved his hand and let go of the Gorosei, 5 elders and Kong he was holding, showing that he was being forced. Without Qin Luo's help, Kong fell to the ground and fainted. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders stood reluctantly, his legs shaking. The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders is no longer in the mood to care about Qin Luo's cynicism. His eyes have been fixed on planetary devastation in the sky, and then said, Lu Yun, since I agree to your conditions, right? To get rid of that thing in the sky. Oh, this. Fortunately, you reminded me, otherwise I would have forgotten. Qin Luo nodded again and again, with an evil smile on the corner of his mouth. Qin Luo stretched out his hand and controlled planetary devastation in the sky. A large amount of repulsion instead of gravity gathered around planetary devastation. With Qin Luo's wave, planetary devastation flew towards the cliff edge of the Holy Land Mariajoy. Planetary devastation hits the ground, then rolls onward. Finally planetary devastation separated from the Holy Land Mariajoy with a large tract of land and fell into the ocean in the first half of the Great Route. This is the largest laterite landslide in recent years, and it also occurred in the holy site of Mariajoy. This landslide-like movement can be clearly seen by anyone near the Sabayati archipelago. The movement and waves caused by the collapse of the land made the Whitebeard pirates and the fleet of allied forces on the sea in a hurry. This hand is like Qin Luo's imprint on the face of the world government. Lu Yun's strength and the embarrassment of the world government will be remembered at the same time. Lu Yun, you, staring blankly at what Qin Luo was doing, the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders were powerless to stop him, only endless anger and suffocation. Don't worry, haven't I dealt with it all, there is no one there. Qin Luo clapped his hand, and was very satisfied with what he had just done. With this out, it is impossible for the world government to cover up what happened today. By the way, don't you think it's too special that only you don't need resurrection? Qin Luo suddenly said to the Gorosei, 5 elders who were secretly annoyed. What? The beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders patronized to calm the anger in their hearts, and some did not understand what Qin Luo said. What answered him was Qin Luo's action. An energy hook passed through his chest, but it was the red Susanengu who was called back by Qin Luo and suddenly attacked. Qin Luo wanted to see if Susannohu's 10-fist sword could seal the souls of Gorosei, 5 elders. Gorosei, 5 elders pierced by the energy shackles were obviously unable to survive, and the shackles were withdrawn, but did not bring back the soul of the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders. Sure enough, it is impossible to kill the Gorosei, 5 elders in this way. Their souls are bound to the devil fruit tree through the mutated fruit of life 1.2. Hey, it's a pity. But the most important thing for a family is to be neat and tidy. It's great that you guys can line up together for the resurrection. This is the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders before losing consciousness last words heard. This time, Qin Luo didn't stay any longer, and disappeared from the Holy Land Mariajoy in a flash. Disappeared with them were several cameras that faithfully recorded what happened in the holy place Mariajoy. In order to avoid the world government's news blockade, Chinluo will send them to those who need them. With the death of the beige-haired Gorosei, 5 elders, the only one who could command both Marine and the world government disappeared. The surviving people looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Chapter 505 Distressed City. With no one calling the shots, Marine and the world government go their separate ways. The people in the world government are picking up the mess under the leadership of the chief executive in CP0. On Marine's side, Kizaru, who had never been injured, became the supreme commander. The happiness came so suddenly, which made Kizaru a little flattered. Kizaru wasn't ready to take over the command of Marine at such a devastated time. Isn't that putting him on the fire and roasting him? Treat the wounded, collect the dead, get the warships out of the riverbed, and we'll go back to Marineford. We'll wait for Marshal Kong and Sengoku Admiral to wake up. Kizaru pondered for a while and finally gave such an order. Kizaru does not seek merit but seeks no fault. Compared to him, his master Zephyr, who lives in the Marine headquarters, is obviously more suitable to handle these things. The sky is falling because a tall man is watching. Who cares who he loves? Kizaru won't take this hot potato. Kizaru, on behalf of Marine, greeted the senior officials of the world government and left, and the world government and Tenryubito did not intend to stay in Marine. The world government and Tenryubito are also bothered, and the Gorosei, 5 elders who are the top leaders are all lining up to be resurrected. Now everything is decided by the chief of CP0, the chief of the staff of the world government, and the patriarch of Tenryubito. Whether it is counting losses, treating the wounded, arranging the departure of guests who came to watch the ceremony, and blocking news. All in all, a lot of shit to deal with. When Kizaru went to find them, the 3 of them were almost fighting over different opinions on something. After the Gorosei, 5 elders died briefly again, the various ghosts and demons of the world government ran out. There are people who seek profits, shirk their responsibilities, form gangs, and all kinds of people, and Kizaru doesn't want to get involved at all. This time the Marine ran very fast. They didn't want to stay for a moment, they were afraid that they would be left to restore the Holy Land Mariajoy again. Marine is not a construction team, so every time something happens to the Holy Land, Marine soldiers will turn into construction workers. When Chinluo returned to Dragon Palace City on Fishman Island, he happened to encounter a wonderful thing. Feijuan was arranged clearly by Tsunade and Juwei's 3 words, and he consciously ran to become cannon fodder. Because of Momosagi's suspicion, Chinluo briefly recounted his actions in the Holy Land Mariajoy. As for Chinluo's play with the old man with a scar, and he didn't set up a devil fruit tree, he naturally took it into account. Playing with an old man, Chinluo feels a strange feeling when he thinks about it now, and it would be embarrassing to say it. Chinluo subconsciously looked at Tsunade and Momosagi's chest, and his little brother jumped for face. Fortunately, he is still straight, and has not changed indescribably because of some unintentional behavior. In other words, the Holy Land Mariajoy has been destroyed. Isn't there a lot of guests invited by the world government? Momosagi heard Chinluo used planetary devastation again, and couldn't help but think of the previous disaster. It's alright, I know, those people are all alive and well. Chinluo admitted that using planetary devastation to force Gorosei, 5 elders into submission was a bit too much, but planetary devastation's power was controlled by him. Even those people in the end nothing happened to the hiding palace. Chinluo guarded against this from the beginning, and really hurt those people, and only pushed those countries and forces into the camp of Gorosei, 5 elders. What Chinluo wants is a stable and awesome Fishman Island, not a Fishman Island that is hated by the whole world. Closer to home, with Chinluo's return, everyone in the study was no longer worried about the next situation, and in a relaxed state, quickly finalized the future plan. Several members of the Floating Cloud Pirates will continue to face the combined forces at the gate of Ryugu Castle, showing the strength of the Floating Cloud Pirates in front of many pirates from the New World. Chin Luo will choose an appropriate opportunity to show up. A life and death battle on Fishman Island turned into an exhibition match. Several members of the Flowing Cloud Pirates were gearing up for it and couldn't wait. Outside the Dragon Palace, people from the United Forces are searching for the spoils. The principle of pirates is that whoever grabs it belongs to that pirate group. This principle is also practiced among coalition forces. Except for the Big Mom pirate group, everyone else is trying their best to get the spoils. The doors of the shops were broken open, and the money and valuables were packed by the pirates and taken to the pirate ship. Even though most of the property and goods had been transferred to Dragon Palace Castle or hidden in hidden places outside the city under the notice of Fishman King Neptune, there were still many things that could not be hidden in time or could not be transferred. And these robbers often have unique search skills. Any valuable things cannot escape their eyes. They can take them away if they can, and destroy those that cannot be taken away on the spot, satisfying their inner black desires. No matter how many casualties the previous battles caused, the link to obtain the loot made all these pirates get out of their depressed mood and enter a state of frenzy. Fishman Island like locusts, and the fire was lit everywhere in the city. These pirates were wanton destroying the city of Fishman Island. "Mom, these people are too messy." The 740 who spoke was Cracker. Looking at the fire in the city, he was very upset. "You must know that after the Fishman Island is laid, the city will belong to the Big Mom pirate group. Maybe it will be the place he will guard in the future. These people are almost digging the corner of the Big Mom pirate group." Auntie didn't answer, but kept eating sweets. Just after a fight with Whitebeard, her hunger and craving for sweets exploded, and the 5-meter-long round table in front of her was filled with desserts. Until these sweets are resolved, Auntie simply ignores other things. "It's okay, after the new owner of Fishman Island, the whole city will be replanned, and now they are helping us demolish it. And these people can't take much away, just give them some sweetness, wait. Be more diligent when you will die." Quote. Charlotte Perospero, the eldest son of the Charlotte family, who is suspected of being an optimistic family, said it almost in front of everyone on the boat. At this time, in addition to the Big Mom pirate group, Kaido of the Beasts, Doflamingo, the awakened Gecko Moria, and some other captains of the large pirate group were in the ants' car. In the bad eyes of these captains, Charlotte Perospero has no sense of being wrong at all, and can only be said to be really optimistic. Chapter 506 Evil Emerging. However, Perospero is also fearless. As the eldest son of the Charlotte family, his ability is at least in the eyes of the ant. Compared with those untalented younger brothers and sisters who are nothing, his situation is still much better. Can be revengeful. And at this moment, in addition to Kaido of the Beasts, Doflamingo and Gecko Moria, the captains of the other so-called large pirate groups on this ship are not worth mentioning in front of him. Even if the eyes of these captains burst into flames of anger, so what, he had to endure it. As for Kaido of the Beasts, Doflamingo and Gecko Moria completely ignored his remarks, or didn't care at all. Kaido of the Beasts doesn't care about loot. Fighting against the strong is the best reward for him. He is the only one who has come down from the Beast Pirates, and it is impossible to join the ranks of looting loot. As long as the battle is over, the ant will naturally send the spoils that belong to him. So Kaido was not in a hurry at all. After the wound was simply bandaged, he sat on the other side drinking wine and eating meat. Sweets. Kaido tried it and could only say that it wasn't for him, something for a bitch. Gecko Moria is because the loot he wants is corpses and shadows, and now he has fallen in love with the shadows and corpses of the Flowing Cloud Pirates and Neptune. No one will snatch it from him at all, so he is also an old god. "Here I am." "Strange, Doflamingo, you don't seem to be angry at all, and your men didn't go to loot," Perospero said in a circle to Doflamingo. Perospero is very strange, the guy in front of him who is not famous, but has the same power as Kaido and Moria who have been famous for a long time. Perospero still saw Doflamingo clearly. How could this have the same measure? Doflamingo has an incomparable evil compared to Kaido and Moria. Of course I participated. For my poor subordinates, this is a rare entertainment, and it can also make a small fortune, isn't it? Doflamingo is truly humble, his subordinates are not as pitiful and ordinary as he said. Just like their master, Doflamingo, his subordinates are all life-threatening people. On the way to scavenge for loot, as long as they like something, they will not let go. Those other pirates who dared to compete with them were eliminated almost instantly. Not that the other pirates are not alert, but that Doflamingo's subordinates are too ruthless. They were joking and talking just a moment ago, and the next second, the knife and bullets have pierced through the hearts of these pirates. Killing people, destroying corpses and destroying traces, the people under Doflamingo are more skilled than anyone else. Oh, is it? But you. I mean, you don't look angry at all. Perospero's optimism is boundless, and his behavior now is like slapping someone and asking why if you don't fight back, you will die. No, how can you be angry? I think you were right. When the city welcomes his true master, everything will start anew. The only fly in the ointment, I think they are too gentle. I just want there's a huge sense of satisfaction at the thought of a city being reborn from destruction. Quote. Doflamingo paused as he spoke, then pointed to the city of Fishman Island outside the boat and continued. There, as long as a fire is lit, the whole city will fly in flames, it's so beautiful. Moving his fingers as he spoke, the smile on Doflamingo's face deepened. With a crazy look, the lenses of those pair of sunglasses seemed to be able to reflect the hellish scenery he was looking forward to. Another point, which Doflamingo didn't say, was that he had sneaked the most valuable trophy. Regarding the information about the 3 ancient weapons, the Sea King, this is a trophy that may not be obtained when the combined forces capture Fishman Island. Doflamingo even has a plan for the back, he's already invincible. The people on the side, whether it was the captain of the pirate group or the members of the Big Mom pirate group, were shocked by Doflamingo's words. Even Gecko Moria couldn't help but glance at Doflamingo. Looking at Doflamingo's crazy smile, everyone thought about it in their minds, and finally a word came to mind, and that was, Joker. This is a real maniac and villain in a clown mask, just like Big Mom, Kaido. And what Doflamingo represents is pure evil. Hearing what Doflamingo said, a chill appeared on the backs of these people's necks. Such a monster can probably do anything, and he must not provoke him. Such people will soon make a name for themselves in this ruthless sea. Brother Perospero, stop joking. Katakuri stood up at this time to round up the field. For his powerful younger brother, who is very powerful in every way, Perospero is still very respectful. Perospero laughed and Isho stopped talking. The brief conversation was like a blip, and the ship returned to silence again. But after this little episode, no one dared to despise Doflamingo again, even if his strength is not yet known, he is already evil enough. The loot scavenging activities stopped when the ant finished eating, and with the order, all the pirates gathered again. When the people of each pirate group counted the number of people, they found that there were many fewer people, at least nearly 200 people entered the city and never came out again. Going to the city is all about looting loot. It is impossible to meet the people of the Flowing Cloud Pirates, otherwise it will not be sure that there is no movement. The people of each pirate group also thought that there would be some conflicts and some casualties, but they really did not expect that there would be so many of the 200 people. Some evidence points to the people under Doflamingo. Even if the work of destroying the corpses is done well, the blood and murderousness that should be there still exist. This is not the bloody smell left from the fight with Fishman just now, because he is fresh enough. But the people who knew it was Doflamingo, the captains of the pirate groups, all put out the thought of finding someone to settle accounts. The boss is a lunatic, and none of his subordinates are normal people. The ferocity and evil of the Don Quixote family once again shocked the pirates of the New World. They all looked at the madman of this family with uneasy and frightened eyes. Who would dare to go over and ask for trouble? Isn't this the same as courting death? Feeling the eyes of everyone, Doflamingo looked back with a smile on his face as if to greet them. Chapter 507 Warriors and Thieves. This is so strange and terrifying that Isho can't tell. The captain of a kind of pirate group was so frightened by Doflamingo that he quickly turned his attention away, lest he would be targeted by this lunatic. And the matter of the 200 pirates that disappeared was just about nothing. The pirates of the combined forces approached Ryugu Castle little by little and surrounded the main entrance of the entire palace. Dragon Palace City is very large. In order to match the different body shapes of each Fishman King, the entire Dragon Palace City was built extremely huge. The palaces of ordinary human kingdoms are in front of Dragon Palace City. It is the difference between a 3-story villa and a 1-story mud house in a slum. This is not an exaggeration at all. Even without mentioning the size of the building of the Dragon Palace, no human kingdom can be so mad enough to use pearls as architectural decorations. If it weren't for the fact that these pearls were embedded in the wall, they would be broken when they were taken out. It would have been unknown which pirate group had dug up these pearls. Mom, this Dragon Palace City is just specially designed for you. A building of this size is just right for you to live in. Although it doesn't have your favorite sweet tooth style, this luxurious palace can barely hold your dignity. Quote. If you want to live a long and comfortable life in the Big Mom pirate group, flattering and pleasing your aunt are essential skills. After being blown away by Perospero so 550 times, the aunt laughed proudly. Obviously, the aunt took advantage of Perospero's words, or she also liked Ryaguchung very much. You all listen to me. No one is allowed to destroy my palace in the battle later. Kaido, neither can you. The aunt now regarded Ryaguchung as her property, and she loudly ordered the combined forces. The man below, finally looking at Kaido, warned him. Che, a broken house, you will be rare. Kaido replied disdainfully, but remembered that he and Auntie were in the same camp this time, and after winning the battle, Auntie would give him trophies. Kaido will still give such a little face. Finally, Kaido nodded to show that he understood. Even Kaido agreed. Which of the following people dared to disobey the aunt's orders? All of them kept silent, nodded again and again, and played it in a loop in their minds. Don't destroy the palace, don't destroy the palace. When will your palace be yours? You old lady are ugly, but you think beautiful. Feijuan's broken voice came from the stairs at the main entrance of Dragon Palace City. The voice of Feijuan was quite obvious. It was heard everywhere in the relatively quiet main entrance of Dragon Palace City, and everyone in the joint forces could hear it clearly. Countless people swallowed their saliva secretly, thinking about who this is so desperate, and dared to speak like this to Auntie. Cuckoo. This was the sound of a furious ant clenching her fists from the bones. It sounded like the death knell of hell in the ears of the pirates of the United Forces. At this time, Katakuri suddenly moved, not in the direction of the flying section of Ryugu Castle, but running towards Perospero beside him. Katakuri wanted to cover Perospero's mouth to prevent him from speaking, but it was a pity that he was a step late. So disrespectful to my mother, which warrior is this? Perospero was optimistic as always, and even the word courting death was replaced by optimism in his mind. Warrior. I heard it right, the sudden show flashed everyone's waist. Everyone in the United Forces, including Kaido and Doflamingo, turned to look at Perospero. Knowing that he had said something wrong, Perospero, who had said something from his heart, pretended to be calm and said, "You must have heard it wrong just now. What bastard and thief I said, dare to be so rude to my mother." Perospero was looked at by so many people, his face was inconvenient at all, just like what he said just now. Bah, like a ghost, if they didn't know that you, Perospero, have always been shameless, and lived by optimism, they would have believed it. They definitely heard the word, warrior, and they didn't say anything at all. How could you, Perospero, say they heard it wrong? Only when your head is kicked by a donkey will you believe your nonsense. I can't change my name, I can't change my surname, Feijuan is also, who are the bastards and thieves talking about? The person on the other side is too stupid, I'm in a hurry. The people of the joint forces never thought that anyone would believe that the thunder was rolling. An optimistic meets an impatient and stupid, it is simply fate. With the interruption of the flying section, and the fact that Parasparrow was always able to please her before, Auntie let Parasparrow go. Katakuri breathed a sigh of relief. As for his brother, he only hoped that after learning this lesson, he would at least take a snack in the future. I don't care if you call Feijuan or Feijuan, a dead person's name doesn't need to be remembered. The ant's dark eyes looked at Feijuan standing at the main entrance of Dragon Palace City and said. Almost as soon as the ant finished speaking, Napoleon, the double-horned hat, turned into a large knife and fell into her hand, and a giant sword she slashed out. Elbaf, spear, mighty country, this move learned from the giants, turned into a huge white rainbow running through the past. Feijuan and the steps at the main entrance of the Dragon Palace City where he was located were cut in half, and the main entrance of the Dragon Palace City was also split into several pieces under the remnants of the giant sword chi. Quiet, the entire main entrance was quiet, not only because of the power of Ant's move, but also because Ant had just cut the main entrance of Dragon Palace City in half with one knife. Is the order that Ant just said not to destroy Ryugu Castle still valid? Online wait, very urgent. The people of the Allied forces once again played to their fine tradition of playing blind and dead. Why is the main entrance of Dragon Palace City suddenly broken? It must have collapsed automatically after being in disrepair for a long time, and the damn black-hearted construction team has cut corners again. The people of the United Forces have perfectly completed their self-brainwashing. As for Auntie's orders, of course they must be obeyed. I'm so pissed off, it's cheap for you to cut in two, otherwise, let me know what fear is. After cutting the flying section in half, the ant was still puzzled and said bitterly. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, ladies, do you always make a sneak attack without saying a word? It's shameless. The corpse of Feijuan, who had been cut in two sections, suddenly struggled to support himself. Was pierced from the abdomen by Elbaf's spear, Weo, so the two parts he still has are the lower body below the waist and the upper body above the chest. Now Feijuan is standing up and talking with his hands on his part. But even so, the flying section has no fighting power, and can only wait for Tsunade's suture and treatment. On the first day of the new year, Feijuan was defeated, although the ant was suspected of sneak attack. Chapter 508 Feijuan wanted to stab someone. Feijuan scratched his lower body on the ground a few times, but finally he could only give up, because he found that his waist had completely disappeared and could not be attached at all. Angrily throwing his lower body aside, Feijuan cursed, bastard, bitcha, Obasan, and tried to stand up while supporting the bloody march side. There is no way that his current perspective is like looking at people on the ground, which makes him very uncomfortable. Regardless of Feijuan's tossing and fuss, the United Forces were startled by Feijuan's sudden deception, and could vaguely hear a bunch of voices breaking their glasses. This is also a devil fruit. Auntie looked at Feijuan who was struggling in a pool of blood. Although she had seen countless strange devil fruits, she had never encountered such a strange one. I have never heard of a devil fruit person who bleeds a lot without dying when their body is cut off. Whether it's Logia's devil fruit, or Luo's Operation Fruit and Buggy's split fruit, these devil fruits are immune to damage and will not cause wounds. The essence of these devil fruits' ability to be immune to damage is to transform the body into other states, so there is no concept of flesh and blood. And Feijuan's current situation is not like these devil fruits. Those hideous wounds can't be faked, unless the other party is a blood devil fruit. This is the only reasonable explanation Ant can think of. It's also thanks to Ant that she ignored Feijuan's broken thoughts because of her surprise. Otherwise, with Feijuan's swearing level 8 strength, he would be able to say that there has been no repetition for half a minute, and he would definitely be so angry that his aunt would destroy the dead. Mom, this person called Feijuan is not a devil fruit person, but has the ability of immortality. Katakuri stood up and said, and only he who has played against Feijuan knows the situation of Feijuan best. Is this the difficult character you reported? Being reminded by Katakuri, Auntie remembered that Katakuri had reported the situation after the battle at the port was over. Yeah, Seastone didn't work for him, I tried it. In previous battles, Katakuri had snatched the bloody march scythe from Hidan more than once and plunged it into Hidan's body, while the sea stone on the bloody march scythe was against him. Flying segments have no effect. Could it be some rare race? Big Mom's eyes glowed green, looking at Feijuan like a foreign tourist seeing a panda for the first time in the zoo. As we all know, Aunt Charlotte Linlin has three good things: soul, sweets and population. Here, population refers to people of different races. For a long time, Auntie has claimed to build a universal kingdom, a country where all races can live equally. Of course, this is just what the aunt said, and why is it still unknown. After knowing that Feijuan might be of a special race, Auntie eagerly wanted to capture Feijuan and keep him in captivity. I'm not sure, just grab it and study it first. Katakuri said it very easily, and Feijuan became an existence in his mouth to be slaughtered. However, with Feijuan's current state, this is really not a big problem. With that, the trident sprang from his arm, and Katakuri was ready to shoot. Katakuri paused. Not only his observation Haki foresaw something, but his brother Perospero also stopped him and rushed ahead. Perospero estimated that he wanted to take the flying section and dedicate it to Auntie, to recover some of the mistakes just now. Katakuri wanted to stop it, but he didn't say the words, "Wait a minute." Perospero had already come to the edge of the flying section, and it was too late. Fortunately, in the future foreseen by Katakuri, no major incident happened to Perospero, and Katakuri went with him, so he should teach his brother a lesson. Alert! Katakuri shouted after Perospero rushed out. With Katakuri's shouting, the people of the Allied forces entered a state of battle. Katakuri is famous, and many people may not know who Cracker, Smoothie and Snug are among the 4 dessert stars, but they all know Katakuri. This is the second man since One Piece, King of Pirates Roger, to have such a terrifying observation Haki that he can even foresee the future. Nani! Even Perospero was startled and subconsciously wanted to escape. But now his hands are already grabbing Feijuan's head. The arrow had to be sent on the string, and Perospero didn't dare to run away in front of a coalition force in such a sullen manner. Auntie would definitely tear him apart. Perospero, who was secretly praying for himself, stared at Feijuan, so he didn't see the scene where he was slapped by a huge fox's tail. Ninetails covered in a scarlet chakra coat suddenly appeared at the gate of Ryaguchung. One of the tails curled up like a compressed spring, and it was drawn at will. Perospero was bounced back into the crowd of coalition forces 10 times faster than before. After a while, Perospero passed out with a few pirates who were innocently backed by him. Yo, isn't this Feijuan? Why are you so embarrassed? Any cat or dog can take you back for research. Tisk tisk tisk, this blood loss is a few thousand cc's. After eliminating Perospero, Jutai said to Feijuan, with obvious mockery and teasing in his tone. After the Ninetails appeared, the rest of the Flowing Cloud Pirates and Whitebeard also appeared at the main entrance of Ryugu Castle. When these people appeared on the stage, they all sent their blessings to Feijuan very consistently. These blessings are like this. Hijuan, you did a good job of delaying the enemy's tactics. You bought us at least 2 minutes. Itachi said solemnly. Sure enough, your evil god Sama didn't want to take away your soul because your mouth was too stinky. This is Momoshiki frowning after hearing Feijuan's foul-mouthed words. Are you going to take Feijuan away? If so, you said it earlier, and it's not that you won't give it. Why did you break the gate of Longongcheng? It's very troublesome to repair such a big gate. Zhang Tsunade, who has suffered from hemorrhage today, said in disgust, avoiding the place where Hidan was full of blood. Whitebeard, who is not very clear about the situation. He is better and does not mock Feijuan. Here's what Whitebeard said. Looks like you're not doing well with the Cloud Pirates. If you can't stay, be my son. Whitebeard is such a nice guy. No wonder, when Feijuan heard that Whitebeard wanted to be his father, he almost jumped up and stabbed him with a sickle. No wonder that Marine was the first to deal with the Whitebeard pirates, and there's a reason for that. Chapter 509 Enemy Who Crosses the Line. At the entrance of the main entrance of Ryugu Castle, under the steps, Whitebeard, Ninetails, Itachi, Tsunade, Momoshiki lined up, and an unspeakable aura gathered around them. Looking at these few people who brought blood and blood on the previous court battlefield, the atmosphere of the joint forces on alert became more dignified. Whitebeard, I thought you were not stupid, but at this time, if you still want to help Fishman Island continue to fight in Europe. From now on, there will be no Whitebeard on the Great Route. At this time, Big Mom still tried to convince Whitebeard. If she could, Auntie didn't want to fight with Whitebeard. The fight between the two in the port just now, although neither of them could do anything about the other, but she was still slightly inferior and suffered a small loss. Without the addition of Whitebeard, Auntie can team up with Kaido to quickly win the Ninetails, which can reduce a lot of losses. The situation at this time is very unfavorable for the Fishman Island side. Even if Whitebeard pulls all his Whitebeard pirates as a surprise soldier, they may not be able to stop the attack of the combined forces. By this time, the situation was very clear, and everyone was watching what Whitebeard would choose next. Not only the pirates on the Allied side were waiting for Whitebeard's reply, but even several members of the Cloud Pirates looked at Whitebeard with interest. Tsunade and the others didn't tell Whitebeard about Lu Yun's return. They also wanted to see Whitebeard's character and whether he was qualified to continue as an ally on Fishman Island. This is the final assessment of Whitebeard, a summary fate, and a decision of life and death. Luo can spare the life of the person who blocked him, but he probably has no tolerance for the betrayal. Without any hesitation, Whitebeard neatly raised his Naginata sword and swiped at the open space in front of Ryugu Castle. The sword slashed through, and a half-meter deep ditch appeared in front of the combined forces. Those who cross this line are my enemies of Edward Newgate. After pulling the Naginata back to the ground, Whitebeard's arrogant voice spread throughout Fishman Island. At the same time, a strong wind blew up and swept toward the pirates of the combined forces. Conqueror Haki was released while Whitebeard showed his resolve. This was not intentional by Whitebeard, but naturally generated with his kingly attitude. Whitebeard, the ant said angrily, and the Conqueror Haki that belonged to her also burst out, colliding with Whitebeard's one in the ditch, and the sound of crackling and crackling kept coming, torturing the nerves of the pirates on the side. Although Whitebeard's Conqueror Haki was stopped, the pirates of the combined forces were not harmed, but they all looked at Whitebeard stupidly and were convinced by his look at this time. Whitebeard is Whitebeard, he can be a Whitebeard full of evil, or a Whitebeard who kills wildly, but there is never a Whitebeard who escapes, and there will be no Whitebeard who is betrayed. This is Whitebeard, he is not a good man, but definitely a king of the sea. The Haki of this world is really a wonderful thing, especially this Conqueror Haki, which has his uniqueness. No wonder it will become the symbol of the king of the world this time. Conqueror Haki so closely. They had seen many armament Haki and observation Haki before, and this rare Conqueror Haki was refreshing to them. Tsunade and Itachi were thinking at the same time, their interest in Haki was getting higher and higher, and they must study it after deciding. At the same time, Itachi breathed a sigh of relief. Whitebeard had always been the one to contact him. If Whitebeard suddenly turned against the water, he probably couldn't avoid responsibility. Fortunately, Whitebeard abided by his loyalty, and this persistence in critical moments is commendable. By Whitebeard in such a decisive way, had solemn killing intent in her eyes, not a single one. The horn of the attack of the combined forces sounded, and the entire Fishman Island was the shouting and killing of the combined forces. In the face of a huge crowd, this situation is most suitable for Jiwei to fire a tailed beast cannon. The enlarged Ninetails jumped to the front of the steps, and a huge tailed beast cannon condensed in its mouth. However, at the moment when the Ninetails moved, a silent figure on the side of the united forces also moved. A black giant figure just appeared on the side of the Ninetails, and a heavy punch slammed into the mouth of the Ninetails like lightning. If it is hit hard by this punch, not only will the nine-tailed punch be freed, but the tailed beast cannon will also explode in its mouth. Come on, this is a really good plan. Just when the tailed beast cannon is about to be completed, even if you want to dismiss the tailed beast cannon. But it is 9 tails. It has encountered this situation countless times in the world of Naruto, and the experienced it immediately began to fight back. In the end, the tailed beast cannon did not shoot at a pirate of the combined forces, nor was it choked by the punch. 9 tails retreated and spit out the tailed beast cannon at the fist. The 9 tails wrapped the 9 tails at the same time, and the scarlet chakra condensed the demon fox coat to protect himself. Almost as soon as the tailed beast cannon was fired, the explosion was generated. The huge shock wave plowed the entire square in front of the main entrance of Dragon Palace City, and cracks like spider webs spread all over the square. Even if he protected himself with his tail in time, there was still a black spot on Juwei's face, and blood came out of the black place and dripped on the ground. And that fist is also uncomfortable. Kaido, who is the master of the fist, is holding his left hand at this time. The armament hockey above it has been shattered, and bone is visible in several places. This collision, it was unclear who took advantage of it. Although the 9 tails' intention to attack the pirates of the Allied forces was interrupted, Kaido's injuries were obviously more serious. If it was a normal injury, these 2 monsters might be healed automatically. 5.0. But at this time Kaido's left hand is much more serious than that, at least for the next period of time Kaido's left hand will not be used. Kaido spat lightly, wrapped his left hand with armament hockey and said to 9 tails, "Fox, I didn't finish the fight just now, now let me beat him to death." At the end, Kaido's face put on a grim smile meaning. The old man disdains to bully the weak, but he also doesn't want to be ridiculed by a crippled person who can't use his left hand. During the speech, Kyuubi mentioned that Kaido just ate a piece and ruined his left hand. "Let's go to the side to fight, you can't use your hands and feet here. Of course you can refuse, but I don't know if this palace is strong enough." Kaido finished speaking, and rushed towards the port first. Chapter 510 Jigsaw. Kaido also remembered being told by the ant to lead the 9 tails to fight elsewhere. No one would think that when 2 monsters fight, they will be concerned about the people next to them. If they are affected by the aftermath of this level of battle, it is not enough to be seriously injured. It is good luck to be able to leave a whole corpse. Especially now, the defenders on Fishman Island have not appeared, and the gates are blocked by a few masters, which also means that once accidental injuries occur, the casualties will only be on the side of the coalition forces. Such a dull loss, even a fool can't accept it, let alone these pirates with weird minds. Therefore, after being moved by Xiaoji, Kaido took over the arrangement and led Kuiwei to the port to fight. And this is something that several members of the Floating Cloud Pirates can accept. They are also worried that the battle between Kyuubi and Kaido will tear down Ryugu Castle. As for whether the battle between Ant and Whitebeard will spread to Ryugu Castle, we can only resign. Whitebeard is probably measured. If Big Mom is 19, didn't she just say not to destroy this palace? But thinking of the act of Ant who just slashed the gate of Longgongcheng with a knife, it is estimated that it is a little off. Nodded to the 9 tails, and the 9 tails who received the order chased after Kaido, and it didn't matter if they killed or died. Without the shock of the 9 tails and the protection of the fox coat, the pressure to defend Ryugu Castle fell on Momoshige, Tsunade and Itachi. The pirates of the combined forces rushed towards Tsunade and the others, bypassing Ant and Whitebeard at a distance of 100 meters. In order to deal with the bullets and secret moves of the sneak attack, Itachi had already turned on Susanoo in advance. How can I say that I just said that the line is my enemy? Watching these people walk past like this, I really want to give them a taste of the power of the shaking fruit. Whitebeard touched the only remaining intact the beard on the left said, but his eyes never left the ant. What's the use of talking, you do it. If these people can die under Whitebeard's shocking fruit, it will be their blessing. The ant cooperated with Whitebeard to chat, and encouraged Whitebeard to take action. However, the ant's expression at this time did not seem to be chattering at all. In those eyes, the murderous intent was almost condensed into reality, and the double-horned hat Napoleon, which turned into a big sword, was constantly breathing flames. And Thundercloud Zeus and Sun Prometheus, who were hit hard by Whitebeard before, would have poured lightning and flames madly at Whitebeard if they weren't stopped by their aunt. Really two vengeful little things. Hey, I don't want it. Charlotte Linlin, you will definitely take the opportunity to piss me off, I'm not that stupid. Feeling the aunt's uncontrollable killing intent, Whitebeard picked up the naginata and danced it in a circle, aiming the blade at the prospective aunt. Whitebeard felt that the best thing to do now was to find a way to get rid of Big Mom. Whether it was killing or fighting back, it would make the situation much better. Although the Flowing Cloud pirates claim to have a backhand, who knows when this backhand will come out. Whitebeard didn't want to put his fate in someone else's hands. Almost at the same time, Whitebeard's Shock Slash and Auntie's Emperor Sword, that had been saved for a long time, were both chopped out. The distance of 100 meters was instantly crossed, and Aunt and Whitebeard came to the middle of the two. The fiery red blade covered with flames collided with the silver-white slash, and a dull sound came out. Big Mom and Whitebeard both retracted their weapons and cut out to meet again. Sometimes Big Mom is on the offense, Whitebeard is on the defense, and sometimes the two are swapped. Just like that, the silver-white slash and the red flame knife kept colliding, and the speed of the two became faster and faster. The two weapons turned into silver-white and red phantoms, and they fought for hundreds of times in an instant. Die! Whitebeard and Big Mom shouted in unison. As the end of this series of attacks, the last attack of the two contained all their strength. The silver-white light and the red light were so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. Bang! A loud bang, the entire Fishman Island trembled, and the dazzling silver-white and crimson light also dissipated. Whitebeard and Big Mom emerged from the light. Naginata and Napoleon turned bike were pressed against each other, and Big Mom and Whitebeard were gasping for breath. The time that had been stagnant before moved again. The armament hockey armor on Auntie's body shattered, flames burst out from Whitebeard's body, and the only intact left beard was not spared. Two blood arrows sputtered from Whitebeard and Big Mom at the same time. In the last attack, Whitebeard and Big Mom did their best, without defense, and both injured each other. Like a signal, as Whitebeard and Auntie were injured, they each took a step back, and the ground within 200 meters shattered into pieces of tofu. Puffs of smoke erupted from cuts in the ground, like lit fuses. This reaction stretched all the way to the crowd that was already avoiding the combined forces of the two bigwigs. The worst were those closest to Whitebeard and Big Mom, who stopped when Big Mom and Whitebeard were fighting. When the chain of ground shattered spread to this side, these stationary pirates turned into pieces that could be broken. Blood, internal organs, and corpses were all over the floor, and even the existence of a pirate who licked blood was shocked by this bloody scene. In addition to the feeling of nausea and vomiting, it was more of fear, and the pirates of the joint forces in going couldn't help but move further away from this 5-meter-wide bloody belt. This is a writing hell, a cordon drawn with life and blood, and at least 300 people died in the UA who was confronted by Big Mom and Whitebeard. As Whitebeard still pretty strong. On the Dragon Palace City Tower, Chinluo just sat in the air. Chinluo told Tsunade and the others that they would find a suitable time to enter. When is the right time? It is natural for him to watch. Of course, which of the few people who can fight off the Great Root and compete around Raftel is a generalist? Roger, the only One Piece King of Pirates currently speaking. Roger, who hadn't appeared for a long time, was invited by Chinluo to come to watch the battle and stood on the observation deck of the tower, beside Chinluo. Although Chinluo and Roger are far apart from the battlefield, one has a writing wheel, and the other has the strongest observation hockey, so peeping is nothing. To be on the safe side, Chinluo also used a writing wheel to set up an illusion that could block his sight, which is the kind Itachi used to hide the Whitebeard pirates. Why, I miss the old days. If you want, just show up. You are still worried about the world government and marine. Chinluo said with a smile. Chapter 511 Which grandson? Chinluo's words made Roger stunned. Indeed, according to his previous thoughts, Roger wanted to sacrifice his terminally ill self in exchange for more people to enter the Great Root. And among these people, there will always be some warriors who dare to confront Marine against the world government and expose the hidden history and darkness. But through this period of time, while Roger was recuperating in Ryugu Castle, he also paid attention to major events in the world. Whether it is the new undead sect that appeared 1,000 years ago, or Chin Luo's havoc at Marineford, or Ohara's destruction, the forces that call themselves the Revolutionary Army are gradually emerging. On the one hand, these things impacted Roger's understanding of the world, and on the other hand, Roger truly realized Chin Luo's terrifying and bottomless strength. Perhaps as long as Chin Luo is willing, the world government, Tenryubito, and Marine will be wiped out in an instant. Marine. For some reason, Roger decided that Chin Luo must have a deeper and better plan. Well, it must be so. And this is definitely because Roger thinks too much. The reason why Chin Luo doesn't want to destroy the world government is very simple. One is the devil fruit tree, and the other is laziness. Yes, lazy. Chin Luo has no intention of ruling the world at all. He has everything now, and he can do most of the things he wants to do. If so, why do you have to work hard to rule the world? In a word, everything that has been seen and heard during this period of time is impacting Roger's heart. He constantly asks himself, is his sacrifice still meaningful? Being mentioned by Chin Luo, Roger thought of the sea he longed for, and the brothers who had adventures together. There are so many things in this sea that are worthy of his memory. After a long pause, Roger's eyes became brighter and brighter, almost returning to his pre-One Piece King of Pirates style. I don't want to. Let me just say, Roger still belongs to this sea. I can guess the news headlines of the world newspapers in the next few days. Shocked, Roger, who has been dead for a long time, reappears in the world. Behind all this is the distortion of human nature, or moral decay. Let's walk into today's. Wait, what did you just say? Looking at Roger's appearance, Chin Luo thought that Roger was about to agree, fell from the air, patted Roger's shoulder and said. Chin Luo didn't react until after speaking. Roger seemed to be unwilling. I'm sorry Chin Luo, but I still don't want to return to the eyes of the world. Roger seemed to see the doubt in Chin Luo's eyes and continued. You don't have to persuade me again, and don't worry about my difficulties. I figured out some time ago that Roger, who belongs to One Piece, King of Pirates and this sea, is dead. In that way, in exchange for more access, the people of the sea deserve to die. Roger is now only for Rouge and her children. The adventurous boy has grown up, and now I am ready to be a father. Quote. When Roger said this, Chin Luo opened his mouth and didn't know how to refute, and persuaded a man who was about to become a father to go out. This doesn't seem right. You said that. I thought you were Whitebeard. The two of you are thinking a bit alike. Chin Luo looked at Whitebeard, who was still fighting with his aunt, and suddenly had such an idea. Oh, is it? It seems like this, Newgate. He has said countless times that he wants to have a stable family and have his own children. I didn't expect that, after death, I could easily do it. Newgate has never been able to do it. The dream. Ha ha ha. This optimist Roger is really happy for his own happiness. Roger, who was smirking in front of him, didn't know that without Chin Luo's intervention, Roger's son Ace would really recognize Whitebeard as his cheap father and Garp as his grandfather if Roger died. Wait a minute, Garp made a lot of money with this crazy operation, and at the same time he became the elder of One Piece, King of Pirates and the strongest man at sea. While Chin Luo and Roger were discussing Whitebeard, Whitebeard was in danger, and all kinds of mysterious operations kept emerging. Charlotte's electrotherapy by the thunder and lightning summoned by Ant's thundercloud Zeus. Shock Fist, which had gathered half of its strength, was interrupted by a sudden sneeze. An all-out punch that seized the opportunity turned into a normal uppercut covered in armament hockey, hitting Mama's face with no pain or itching. Instead, Ant took this opportunity to fight back, and the Emperor's sword wrapped around flames and slashed Whitebeard's head. Whitebeard barely managed to block the blade a few centimeters in front of his eyes. But his eyebrows and only half of his beard were all burned by the flames of the Emperor's sword. The Ant, who was ready to accept it, withdrew the long knife, so as not to be jumped off the wall by Whitebeard, who had burned his beard. Strange to say, the ant who was originally at a disadvantage suddenly turned around, and this turnaround came out of nowhere. "Look at what just happened. Whitebeard was killed by me," the ant with a long knife said with a grin. The thundercloud Zeus and the sun Prometheus floated on both sides of the ant with various mocking expressions. "Charlotte Linlin, is it what you do to take advantage of people's danger and talk about it? Whitebeard has black eyes, his beard and eyebrows are all burned off. The most important thing is that he doesn't understand why it happened. Those surprises. Slippery feet and sneezing, things hadn't happened in combat since Whitebeard came to sea. As a result, he met all of them today, and almost killed him. Is someone thinking about him, or is someone scolding him?" Whitebeard thought to himself, could it be his sons? Or which grandchildren? Some two people far away on the tower suddenly itched their noses and sneezed at the same time. Chin Luo and Roger looked at each other. The sneeze was inexplicable. Fate is so mysterious. Hee, how can I use my words? What I said is the truth later. Next time, I will definitely stick a knife into your head and see if everything in your head is full of paste. Speaking, ant aiming at Whitebeard is a move of Elbath's spear, Weo. This is an Elbath's gun, Weo, which is beyond the normal standard. The giant sword energy is about 1.5 times the size of the original. The sword energy turned into a streak and slashed on Whitebeard's body instantly. Knowing that Whitebeard is not so easy to solve. Immediately afterwards, the ant threw out the long knife wrapped in flames. This move, the Emperor Sword, would stab Whitebeard's heart in the form of a flying sword, just after Whitebeard had blocked all the sword energy of Elbath's gun, Weo. This is not over yet. The ant is bullying herself. This is almost a move that decides the outcome. For the ant, she has no reservations. Chapter 512 Stalemate Battle. Thundercloud Zeus and Sun Prometheus, lightning and flames were transmitted to Big Mom's hands, and the tyrannical flames and tearing lightning were layered on Big Mom's arms attached to armament hockey. In the form of two peaks piercing her ears, Big Mom's last fire crit hit Whitebeard's head through the white rainbow of Elbath's gun, the giant sword of Weo. The ant also completed her Ant 3 consecutive. In the face of Big Mom's ultimate blow, Whitebeard also pulled up all his energy, and the power of the shock fruit converged on Whitebeard's double fists and Naginata. That piece of space is about to collapse. The battle between Whitebeard and Big Mom has come to an end, and Tsunade, Momoshiki and Itachi are also in danger. At the beginning of the battle, Feijuan was able to set off a bloody storm among ordinary pirates of the combined forces with his upper body. But the good days of Feijuan will soon come to an end. Katakuri appeared silently behind Hidan, the moment he threw the scythe again. Tentacles emerged from Katakuri's body and tied Hidan's upper body firmly. The rotating trident was inserted from the back of Feijuan's head, and splattered blood and pieces of meat poked out of Feijuan's mouth. Katakuri had heard enough of Feijuan's swear words and 200 broken thoughts, and chose to shut him up the first time he caught him. Even if he was pierced by a trident and his throat was pierced, Feijuan would still make his voice with a roaring voice. Woo woo, woo woo. Seeing that Feijuan was still, living and alive, Katakuri was relieved that Auntie would get a living rare race. Katakuri looked at Hidan expressionlessly, pulled the trident out of his mouth, and chopped off both Hidan's arms. Katakuri, who had been cut off with a stick, was handed over to Perospero by Katakuri and locked in a glass jar for soaking. Compared with Hidan, Tsunade, Momoshiki, and Itachi are not much better, probably just a little bit, not broken. The pirates of the joint forces made it impossible for the three of them to escape. Various attacks landed on Itachi's Susanoo. Itachi's red Susanoo is full of visible cracks. Itachi has just repaired one place with chakra, and another place appears. The flame of Amaterasu and the technique of fire escape and dragon fire were alternately sprinkled by Itachi on the enemy in front of him. This was his most effective attack right now, and his illusion was being mercilessly targeted at this moment. Katakuri, the other three of the Desert Four, Cracker, Smoothie and Snug, all participated in the siege of Itachi, Tsunade and Momoshiki. These three people in Itachi have old and new hatreds. Whether it was Cracker being defeated and captured by Itachi before, or Smoothie and Snug being played by Itachi's illusion, the three of them found Itachi at the beginning of the battle. Knowing Itachi's terrifying illusion, the three avoided Itachi's eyes when they attacked. Since Itachi couldn't move at all, they didn't worry about attacking or missing. And those preset illusions are not very useful when faced with so many enemies close by. So Itachi simply gave up and continued to use illusion. The trickiest is Cracker, who was previously defeated by Itachi because his Cracker soldiers would be easily burned by Itachi's Amaterasu. Now that there are more people besieging Itachi, Cracker simply uses the biscuit soldiers to block Itachi's Amaterasu and fire ninjutsu. Every time Itachi releases Amaterasu, as far as I can see, it's either an ordinary pirate or Cracker's cookie soldier. The main forces in the combined forces all hid behind the biscuit soldiers in time. So far, the only big fish Itachi has caught is Snag, who ranks last among the four generals. Compared to Smoothie, Snugger is clearly not to be seen by Cracker. While Smoothie and Snug are being watched by Itachi at the same time, Cracker chooses to protect Smoothie first. Of course it could also be that Cracker thinks Snag is strong enough to withstand Itachi's attacks. Frequent use of Kaleidoscope Shaker's ability makes Itachi's chakra and stamina drop rapidly. The size of Susanoo is getting smaller and smaller, and so is the area where Momoshiki and Tsunade can move. "You haven't shot yet. Momoshiki and Tsunade are not doing very well," said Roger, who had been using observation hockey to observe the battle below. Just now, Momoshiki was hit by a sneak attack by Virgo, one of the top officials of the Don Quixote family who was hiding among the many pirates. Covered with armament, Haki suddenly appeared behind Momoshiki and smashed on Momoshiki's left shoulder. Along with the sound of bone cracks, Momoshiki staggered, and blood flowed from her mouth. The other pirates saw Momoshiki's flaws. They wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Momoshiki stabilized his body, slashed Virgo with a backhand, and retreated to Susanoo's protection. Itachi also controlled Susanoo in time to throw out a Yasaka's Hook Jade, clearing the enemy in this area. Momoshiki escaped the catastrophe, but the situation is not optimistic at all, and now she can't use her left hand. For a swordsman, the inability to use either hand will greatly damage his combat effectiveness. It's okay, don't look at Tsunade and Momoshiki are in a bad situation now, but Momoshiki also has the strength of Marine's backup admiral. Although Tsunade is a wet nurse, her unarmed combat power is also not inferior to the General Shichibukai. Chinluo, there is still full confidence in the strength of the two women. The main reason for the current unfavorable situation is that Tsunade has no clear skills, and it is not efficient to rely on Itachi alone to deal with the pirates of the combined forces. Although Roger heard new words like wet nurse and Shichibukai from Chinluo's mouth for the first time, it did not prevent him from understanding the meaning of Chinluo's words. Since Chinluo is not in a hurry, why should he worry about someone who can't help? The situation on the field was changing rapidly. Tsunade, Momoshiki, and Itachi, who had been in turmoil, seemed to fall down at any time, but they stood upright like a tumbler. The three of them struggled to cope with the breath, until the people who hit the coalition forces became exhausted. At this time, even the most stupid person knew that the three Tsunade were deceived. Wait, we've all been deceived, the other side is just acting, and their embarrassment is pretending. Cracker, who knew exactly how strong Itachi was, suddenly reacted and shouted. Impossible. No. How come? All kinds of exclamations sounded, but thinking about the increasing casualties and the still stalemate battle, the pirates couldn't help but understand, and the expression of disbelief gradually turned into the shame and anger of being played. Chapter 513 Cooperate with the performance. The people of the Allied forces broke her plan. Momoshiki's face couldn't help but turn a little red, but because of the battle, her face was flushed, and outsiders couldn't see it. But Tsunade and Itachi are different. They are different. As old oil, the two of them are not moved at all. It seems that they have nothing to do with what Cracker said, they are really dying. As the saying goes, it is necessary to do a full set of dramas. Tsunade wanted to straighten his body during this rare stop, as if he had affected the injury in his body, and a mouthful of blood spit out from Tsunade's mouth. As expected of a medical student, even if he vomited blood, it was so real. Chinluo dared to guarantee that this mouthful of blood was prepared by Tsunade long ago. Otherwise the timing would not be so right. Many pirates from allied forces were really fooled by Tsunade's hand. It stands to reason that if the three of Tsunade are really acting as Cracker said, there is no need for them to continue acting after being seen through, and the appearance of vomiting blood doesn't look like a fake. Many pirates thought so. This kind of illusion is not much different for the pirates, but it is especially important for the three Tsunade, which affects the attitude of the joint forces when they attack. Fishman Island faster, so as to avoid other variables. But the Tsunade three behaved that they might fall at any time, and the attitude of the pirates of the joint forces would be different. Anyway, the opposite side is going to die, so I don't have to work so hard, so as not to be taken away by the opposite side's dying counterattack as a backstop. Not only ordinary pirates, but even the captain of the pirate group and the 4 desert generals would think so, and even compared to ordinary pirates, they even cherish their lives. Ha ha ha. Seeing these people hesitating and undecided, Doflamingo, who was watching from afar, laughed wantonly. At this time, most of the pirates went to besiege the three Tsunade, so Doflamingo's behavior did not cause much commotion. Doflamingo's side was only Katakori, who didn't take action after finishing the flying section, Gecko Moria, who only sent zombie soldiers out of fear of death, and a few messengers. Katakori is also currently in command of the battle. What's so funny, Doflamingo, you bastard, it's so annoying. Gecko Moria, who had eaten Itachi's entire illusion package, woke up and was still irritable, and Doflamingo's laughter was obviously not something that could soothe his nerves. Don't you think these people are really stupid? Just put on a poker face on the opposite side, and they are fooled again if they miss their acting skills. These people's IQ can only be like this. Ha ha ha, Doflamingo explained, but he explained it was while smiling while looking at Katakori. Doflamingo was annoyed by Gecko Moria's scolding. A veteran like Gecko Moria, with a little right to be arrogant in front of him. But don't think that's enough, Doflamingo has everything in his heart. No one could be more arrogant than Doflamingo, the former Tenryubito, and more vicious and vengeful than the future son of evil. Oh, the embarrassment facing the three people is all pretending. Gecko Moria suddenly realized. Answered Gecko Moria was Doflamingo's more wanton laughter, and before he could react, he had just done what Doflamingo called an idiot. Suddenly Doflamingo's laughter stopped abruptly, and suddenly said to Katakori leisurely. You think so too, Mr. Katakori, our visionary for the future, Katakori of the Desert 4 Generals. Speaking of which, the other 4 generals are all on the front lines, why don't you do it? Watching the lovely younger brothers and sisters being swept away by the sea of clouds, I can't bear to be injured by the bandits, why? Cute, pooh. Not to mention that Smoothie, Cracker, and Snag's looks and cuteness can't be linked at all, and the mere cuteness that comes out of Doflamingo's mouth is disgusting. Of course, Katakori can't say it explicitly. My intuition tells me that Doflamingo is not easy, and there may be some small movements, so I'm here to monitor you. Mom is fighting Whitebeard at the moment, so I'll take over command for now. Doflamingo, aren't you going to fight with your men? I'm too ordinary in combat, I won't cause trouble for my men. Doflamingo said a reason no one would believe, but he didn't care, Katakori couldn't force him to shoot. Doflamingo is weak, thanks to what he told himself. For Doflamingo, Katakori's observation Haki gave feedback on the word, dangerous. Katakori was silent for a while, and did not expose Doflamingo's nonsense. Anyway, he was watching, and no matter what Doflamingo planned, he would find out immediately. You, go and tell the people in front to speed up the attack and stop procrastinating. Katakuri called a messenger and asked the people in front to speed up the rhythm in the name of the ant, without exposing the fact that they were deceived. It was considered a security some people's face. 0. After receiving the order, the pirates of the combined forces no longer care whether the three Tsunade are pretending. With the encouragement of Ant's order, they must speed up the capture of Ryugu Castle. Seeing the change on the side of the coalition forces, Tsunade and the others knew that it was useless to pretend to be, so they simply gave up the plan to show their enemies and make them weak. So Momosegi's injured left shoulder was able to hold the knife with both hands again. Tsunade also straightened up and no longer bent over, and Itachi opened his closed right eye, which was overused and bleeding. Tsunade's summoned slug was placed on the three of them in advance. These slugs have been secretly healing the three of them, and ordinary injuries have been cured long ago. Tsunade and the others are just pretending. It's still like this. I've learned a lot about how to do it. Roger said in surprise, unlike the blushing face of the united forces. You can ask Tsunade yourself later, but since they were discovered, Tsunade and the others will have a hard time. I have to prepare, Chinluo said, and the people had disappeared from the stands. Thank you for cooperating with the show, but it's too late for you to find out. Following Tsunade's sarcasm, the allied forces launched a frantic attack. This time, the three Tsunade were really in danger. Whether it is the characteristic four generals, the officials of the Don Quixote family, or other pirates, they all attacked desperately. The lost faces exchanged for the life of the enemy. This is the creed of the sea. Chapter 514. The mountains and rivers are exhausted. Cracker, who was no longer focused on defense, frequently used the famous sword pretzel in his hand to attack Itachi's Susanoo. The wave sword energy and the flame sword energy alternately exploded on the red Susanoo. Combining Smoothie, S/ and Virgo, S Oni Bamboo, Itachi's chakra descended at a fast speed. Itachi also needs to pay attention to the house that Torapal, another top executive of the Don Quixote family, grabbed with a sticky meteor and smashed it. Itachi had no choice but to degenerate Susanoo into his original form, protecting himself with only his ribs, Tsunade and Momosegi, giving up all Susanoo's means of attack. Momosegi pushed back the cracker who had carved a small crack in Susanoo with a sword. Due to the lack of chakra, Susanoo's ability to automatically repair was much slower. A well-positioned blocking bullet shot into Susanoo, and before Momosegi could issue a warning, the bullet had penetrated Itachi's abdomen. It was Itachi who sensed danger, and turned his body to get rid of the heart. The first time the sniper who had been hiding in the allied forces showed his power, it caused Itachi the first damage he received in this battle. Wow! A mouthful of blood spit out from Itachi's mouth. Because of this injury, he, who had already reluctantly supported, felt a little drained of fuel. The red Susanoo flickered. But Tsunade doesn't have a chance to get out and treat Itachi's injuries now. The deeds of the sniper made the attack of the combined forces even more frantic. As long as Tsunade left a little, the Susanoo barrier on this side would be completely broken. Was a crackling sound. Momosegi, who was targeted as the soft persimmon, was the first to break through, and Susanoo in the direction where Momosegi was shattered like a mirror. Successful, take your life. Brothers and sisters Smoothie and Cracker shouted in unison. Sudden burst pretzels. Life extraction. Crimson flames and blue water flowed on their weapons. Cracker quickly rubbed the sword in the air to create flames, and the famous sword pretzel wrapped around the flames quickly stabbed Momosegi from right to left. On Smoothie's long sword, the water flowed on the sword like a swirl, and there was constant water vapor from the surrounding to the sword. Soon the long sword in Smoothie's hand was her size, slashing at Momosegi from left to right. The water vapor at the main entrance of Ryugu Castle seemed to be completely sucked away, and some pirates near Smoothie also quickly turned into human beings. The flashing flaming sword quickly ignited the dry air. Momosegi's escape directions were all blocked, and it was too late to escape. The only thing Momosegi can think about right now is getting less damage from that move. At this critical moment, time and space are almost frozen, and everyone is waiting for Momosegi's choice and ending. But for Momoshiki, neither choice is happy end. She doesn't want to be pierced by any knife. When you can't make a choice, the best thing is to have someone else make the choice for you. Between A and C, Whitebeard picked AB for Momoshiki. A large knife was thrown suddenly, in the direction of Smoothie and Cracker's attack. If Smoothie and Cracker continue to attack regardless, they will undoubtedly be cut in half by the flying sword. Smoothie and Cracker turned around at the same time, and the two swords of water and fire slashed on the flying sword at the same time. As soon as the three weapons came into contact, blue smoke and water vapor came out frantically. As the flying sword was intercepted and stuck on the ground, Smoothie and Cracker were driven directly into the Dragon Palace by powerful force, and smashed several pillars. At this time, everyone can see clearly, isn't this flying sword officially Whitebeard's weapon Naginata? As a foreign aid, Whitebeard still had some B numbers in his heart, and knew how many people he could save Momoshiki. But in this way, Whitebeard has no weapons, and the battle between him and the ant will change again. When Whitebeard threw the Naginata in her hand, the ant was also quick-witted, and slashed the Emperor's sword in front of Whitebeard's chest. There was no blood, and the tip of the Emperor's sword cut right through Whitebeard's skin, and the wound was scarred by the flames of the Emperor's sword before it spattered blood. The power of the Junjun fruit gathered in his fists, and Whitebeard collided with Big Mom's follow-up slashes with his fists. A few of the floating cloud pirates, what's the backup, haven't they used it yet? A heavy punch hit the long knife that Napoleon turned into a double-horned hat, and the shock force released in a cylindrical shape pushed the ant and dragged it back for dozens of meters, creating a long gully on the ground. At this opportunity, Whitebeard shouted, and at this rate, Whitebeard really wants to be buried with the floating cloud pirates and Fishman Island. Ha ha ha, aren't you stupid, Whitebeard? If there were backhands, the floating cloud pirates would have used them long ago, and they still need it now. Fishman is about to be exterminated, can't you see, Whitebeard? Putting down the long knife on her chest, the ant said with a big smile. By what Whitebeard said behind the scenes also joined the ant and laughed wantonly at this time. And the backhand, what Whitebeard said is true. Don't look at what's going on right now. Don't tell me, I was really fooled just now. Whitebeard's acting skills are not worse than the previous three. Maybe Whitebeard really thinks he has a backer. From his appearance, he seems to have been deceived by the flowing cloud pirates. Deceived? No way, if Whitebeard only has this kind of IQ, he doesn't deserve to be as famous as One Piece King of Pirates Roger, Golden Lion. Let him die here today. All kinds of comments and ridicules fell in Whitebeard's ears, making his face unusually wonderful, with a burst of blue and a white. You hear me, Whitebeard, you were too stupid to be deceived by the floating cloud pirates. But I can give you one last chance. Kneel down and surrender, swearing allegiance to me. I can consider whether to take Whitebeard. The pirates were all killed. At this time, the ant was not trying to persuade him to surrender, she was taking the opportunity to humiliate Whitebeard and vent her anger. And once Whitebeard is timid, the ability of the ant's soul fruit will instantly kill Whitebeard. Dream, Whitebeard said briefly. What did you say? The ant felt unbelievable while she was angry. I said you were dreaming, Charlotte Linlin. Even if I, Whitebeard, were tricked to death, I wouldn't choose to kneel to survive. Regardless of whether the floating cloud pirates had a backer or not, Whitebeard had no intention of yielding to Auntie. After he finished speaking, an aura of decisive death was released from Whitebeard. Chapter 515 Outdated News. Death wasn't the scariest thing for Whitebeard, it was a belated adventure. In contrast, Whitebeard values family and the dignity of being strong. No wonder people admire you so much, Whitebeard. When everyone was preparing for Whitebeard's death battle, a voice came out, not very loud, but all the pirates of the combined forces in front of the main gate of Ryugu Castle could hear clearly. The sound seemed to float from the sky and rang in the ears. To describe it in one word, it is, God, and there is no other explanation other than that. Chin Luo, to be precise, Lu Yun. Wearing an auspicious cloud cape and a mask, he floated right above the main entrance of Dragon Palace City. Below are Tsunade, Momoshiki and Itachi. Luyun God. I don't know who murmured first, and then more and more people couldn't help but say it. No wonder these people shouted this subconsciously without getting the information that Luyun was not dead. Qin Luo's bland appearance on the 19th really achieved a head start. Appeared suddenly, and many people were able to confirm that there was no one in the sky above Tsunade, Momoshiki and Itachi. Immediately afterwards, Qin Luo used the sound scale, which was newly researched by Qin Luo, a small trick that combines repulsion and attraction. Simply put, through the attraction and repulsion, countless invisible pipes were built around Qin Luo to diffuse his voice. To put it bluntly, it is actually an invisible longhorn, borrowing the principle of the pipe organ, making his voice seem vast and magnificent. Before coming up with this method, Qin Luo knew nothing about pretending to be realistic. If there's any downside to this sound scale move, it's that it takes some preparation time. No, Luyun is already dead, and the world government has just publicly executed his body. Is the Luyun pirates trying to find someone pretending to be Luyun to scare us off? It's ridiculous. Abandoning Whitebeard, Big Mom aimed her long knife at the newly emerging cloud. There is no other reason why Auntie is so anxious to prove that Luyun is fake. As long as Luyun's appearance is too bluffing, he can pretend to be God with just a light bulb on his head. If it goes on like this, there is no need to fight this battle. Most of the pirates on the joint force side are so scared that their legs are weak. Even if the ant said that, there are still many people who believe that what appears is the real Luyun, and the fear is directly written on the faces of these people. Not everyone is as hard-headed as Marine, the world government, and the future 4 emperors. Most people in the combined forces are very afraid of Lu Yunshin's strength. They also dared to join the alliance after confirming that the world government announced Lu Yun's death. It can be said that the high-level members of the joint forces, except for the ant who is difficult to ride a tiger, everyone else has a wonderful recognition of Lu Yun. Kaido has a beast's sense of smell for powerful existences, and stopped as soon as Qin Luo appeared. Doflamingo was thinking about whether it was Lu Yun or Qin Luo under the mask. He hadn't linked Qin Luo and Lu Yun as one person. It can only be said that Marine helped to place enough smoke bombs. Katakuri foresaw the next scene and had no doubts about Lu Yun's identity. Gecko Moria, as Lu Yun's defeated general, is also very familiar with Lu Yun. And the pirates in other joint forces are also hesitant and suspicious. Don't just say I'm dead or not, it'll make me very distressed, and your news is out of date. Oh, I just returned from the Holy Land of Mariajoy. Gorosei, 5 elders have announced my return, with their death again. Qin Luo said casually. Through the sound scale, there was a little more contempt in his tone. The sound of gasping for breath kept ringing among the pirates of the combined forces. The Gorosei, 5 elders died again. Isn't that the god of flowing clouds killing again in the Holy Land Mariajoy? Jing is big talker, who can't brag. After speaking, the ant jumped in place, and the emperor's sword wrapped in flames stabbed towards Qin Luo. Whitebeard didn't do anything. He also wanted to see if this Lu Yun was real or not. He really didn't need his protection, and he couldn't protect it if he was fake. The constant offensive of Auntie's emperor sword was constantly weakened, and the sound of crack continued to sound in the air. The ant thought that she had broken through the layers of barriers set up by Qin Luo, but she was not. She just destroyed the sound scale pipeline arranged by Qin Luo. Qin Luo was very distressed. Ant's emperor sword was not very powerful, but it destroyed a lot of his sound scale. If he spoke with sound scale later, his voice would definitely be different. Qin Luo reluctantly withdrew the sound scale. A 1,000-fold repulsion placed an invisible protective cover around him, and at the same time he raised the middle and index fingers of his right hand. With a single close, Qin Luo happened to grab the emperor's sword cut by the ant. Napoleon, the bicorn, seemed to be stuck, unable to move. There is nothing more convincing than this. The ant who jumped high chopped out her 40 big swords, but Qin Luo easily cracked it, and the ant was held high in the air. Just like the baby easily caught the full blow of the boxing champion Tyson, the pirates of the joint forces said that they no longer believed in this world. Feeling her own 983 dilemma, the ant called the thundercloud Zeus and the sun Prometheus beside her to release the greatest thunder and flames. An invisible barrier blocked all attacks within half a meter of Qin Luo's body, just inside Qin Luo's outstretched right hand. No matter how fierce the thunder and fire were, they couldn't break through that barrier, not even Qin Luo's right hand. The invisible barrier reflected the fright on Auntie's face so clearly. This should be the first time Auntie has really fought against Qin Luo, and she no longer has the confidence to fight between words in the phone bug. Under Qin Luo, someone moved, silently, without any warning. After seeing that Ant is not Lu Yun's opponent, Ant's full attack has been blocked lightly. Smoothie, Cracker, and Virgo, who were high-speed, pounced on Tsunade, Momoshiki, and Itachi. This is obviously to take one or two hostages to threaten Lu Yun. The members of the Big Mom pirate group applauded secretly, while Doflamingo shrugged his head to show that it was not good. This muscle-only Virgo would really get him into trouble. This sneak attack will not have any effect, in front of Qin Luo's eyes. The pattern of the kaleidoscope writing wheel flashed in Qin Luo's eyes, and the black hole of the Shinwei space appeared behind Tsunade, Momoshiki and Itachi and took them away. Chapter 516 Admit Defeat ____. The black hole of Shinwei space appeared again in the air behind Qin Luo, and spit out Tsunade, Momoshiki and Itachi. Because Qin Luo set up a fairly thick repulsion wall there, he was not worried that the three of them would fall off or receive other attacks. Tsunade can also start simple treatment for the injuries of several people with peace of mind. The decision is okay, but the strength is poor. Qin Luo looked down at Smoothie, Cracker, and Virgo, who were stunned because they lost their sneak attack target. The right hand holding the ant's long knife flicked to the side, and the huge force smashed it out with the ant, crashing the entire block one after another. Anyway, these cities on Fishman Island have been scourged by the combined forces, and Qin Luo has no scruples at all. After vacating his right hand, Qin Luo ignored the ant. For Smoothie, Cracker and Virgo who dared to make small moves under his eyes, Qin Luo wanted to reward him. Smoothie, Cracker, and Virgo all shuddered as they felt bad eyes swept over them. Katakuri felt the same way. When he faced Ninetails the previous time, he thought about capturing the thief first and capturing the king to take Qin Luo down. The legs of Smoothie, Cracker, and Virgo were trembling before they moved away. They only felt that their eyes were dark, and when they reappeared, they were already suspended in front of Qin Luo. Because it was so fast, Smoothie, Cracker, and Virgo couldn't see what was going on, while the other pirates nearby could see clearly. It was the black hole, that is, Qin Luo's divine power space, which unfolded under the feet of the three of them and grabbed them easily. Smoothie, Cracker, and Virgo floated 1 meter in front of Qin Luo with their heads raised and half kneeling, their heads almost reaching Qin Luo's waist. It's not that the three of them are willing to maintain this state, but they have to. An invisible hand grabbed their necks, probably the way Qin Luo held his right hand. However, you have done this to make me feel very shameless. Just now someone is going to publicly execute me. I think it's a good reward to give you this kind of reward. In a few words, Qin Luo has already sentenced 3 people to death, so it's not bad to have this experience. In particular, these 3 people will be resurrected by the way later, which is unavoidable. But Smoothie, Cracker, and Virgo didn't know about the resurrection, and they were struggling violently at the moment. If it weren't for the inability to open their mouths, they estimated that there would be 100 ways to beg for mercy. Death is a terrifying thing. Wait, Lu Yunshin, please forgive my ignorant subordinates, the Don Quixote family will show enough sincerity. At this time, Doflamingo stood up and said. Doflamingo really didn't want to touch Qin Luo's bad head, and even made Qin Luo ignore his best. But how is Virgo also one of the top cadres of the Don Quixote family, and one of the first 4 to come to him? Doflamingo must stand up for the future plan and for the hearts of the Don Quixote family. Doflamingo, shut up. Just after Doflamingo finished speaking, a long knife wrapped in flames flew from the air, from the ruins where Big Mom fell. Doflamingo's behavior at the moment is like openly surrendering to Luyun. You must know that many people now know that Luyun is appearing. But none of the leaders or captains of the various forces said anything. And Doflamingo took the lead, admitted Luyun's identity, and surrendered. I don't know how badly this will affect the combined forces. The most terrifying thing is to directly lead to the collapse of the joint forces. Doflamingo, who stood up, was directly cut off by the Emperor's sword thrown by the ant. There was no blood and no whining, and Doflamingo, who was killed in seconds, was just a lying clone. And the real Doflamingo slowly emerges from a corner. Katakori's eyes twitched, and he was clearly watching Doflamingo without hesitation, and was sure that it was his real body. But when did Doflamingo switch avatars? For Doflamingo, Katakori's emphasis has deepened. Not to mention Katakori's solemnity, Doflamingo was also very upset. Although he knew that his behavior would be a little angry, he never thought that the other party would shoot without hesitation. This avatar was used by Doflamingo to prevent Chinluo from killing him, and it was destroyed by Auntie. Sure enough, just like Kaido, they are all monsters in human skin. Ant ran back in a hurry, and after taking back the long knife that Napoleon's double-horned hat turned into, she will continue to settle accounts with Doflamingo. Chinluo said that he was very happy with this kind of dog-biting dog behavior. You must continue, it's better to be more intense, and he shamelessly became a wave of people eating melons first. The ant was stopped by Katakori, who was much more rational than his mother. Mom, now is not the time to turn against the Don Quixote family. With Katakori stopping, the ant who had just fallen into a state of madness finally woke up. That's right, Ant, even if I don't say anything, everyone can see it clearly. Although I'm not happy to say it, I think many people think that I only dare to join this war when I get the news of Lu Yunshin's death. Yes, now that it's proven to be just fake news, the premise doesn't exist. Not only a lot of people, even Auntie decided to attack Fishman Island after hearing the news of Lu Yun's death. For a time, the pirates of the joint forces at the main entrance of Ryugu Castle were in turmoil, and their thoughts of continuing to attack Fishman Island were basically dispelled. Besides, Doflamingo paused and continued, there is no one here who is an opponent of Lu Yunshin, not even Auntie Yu. Doflamingo opened his mouth several times and opened up several layers of wounds for the combined forces. The combined forces were close to disintegrating. Doflamingo, I will have the opportunity to settle this account with the Don Quixote family slowly in the future. The situation was stronger than people, and the ant said almost through gritted teeth. When the painting style changed, the ant shouted again, Luyun. Ah, why did the camera turn to me again? The infighting ended like this. Chinluo was slightly disappointed. Let Smoothie and Cracker go, we'll leave now. What Auntie said at this time undoubtedly made the pirates of the joint forces relieved. The appearance of Lu Yun made these pirates lose the idea of continuing to fight. If they could just talk and retreat, it would be the best choice. Just with Lu Yun's momentum to kill Auntie in seconds, these pirates don't want to risk their lives. Chapter 517 The fish is dead, the net is broken, it does not exist. For most of the pirates of the combined forces, it is not too much of a loss to bring the loot that has been harvested to their respective homes and find their own mothers. It's nothing more than the Big Mom Pirate Group, the Beast Pirates Group and Gecko Moria. The spoils of these people are the distribution of the interests of Fishman Island after the capture of Fishman Island. Now not only can't get any gains, but also leave in despair, swallowing the bitter fruit of loss. This is indeed a difficult thing for Ant to accept, but Ant must also grit her teeth to accept it at this moment. So the captains of the other pirate groups also said, it's all a misunderstanding, Lu Yun God, we will retreat now. That's right, don't fight anymore. It turns out that Lu Yunshin is not dead, so I can rest assured that Fishman Island will continue to be handed over to Lu Yunshin. Retreat. Chinluo scratched his head with his left hand, and looked at the group of pirates below speechlessly. This has already hit the front of Ryugu Castle, and the city of Fishman Island has also been completely destroyed. These people now want to retreat. Qin Luo really underestimated the shamelessness of these pirates. And speaking as if they were aggrieved, Qin Luo was really going to be laughed at by their words, just like he was helping Fishman Island choose the owner. Did I remember 243 wrong? Or did you think wrong? Did I say I wanted to let you go? Qin Luo now wants to throw an atomic bomb to see if the power of the atomic bomb can break open the faces of these pirates' defense. Unfortunately, Qin Luo didn't have an atomic bomb, but the force on his right hand was uncontrollable. Smoothie, Cracker and Virgo, who were caught by Qin Luo from the air, felt that the restraint on their necks was getting tighter and tighter. If they went on like this, they would be strangled to death before they could survive Qin Luo's execution. Smoothie, Cracker, and Virgo struggled desperately, and the skin on their faces started to turn a purplish purple. Luyun God, can you let Virgo go first? He seems to be dying. Doflamingo didn't know what he was thinking, and he still had enough time to pay attention to Virgo's affairs. At this moment, most of the pirates are thinking about what Luyun said, not letting them go. Even the god of flowing cloud couldn't say that he would leave them alone. But the peace talks seem to have broken down, and the pirates of the joint forces once again clenched the weapons in their hands. Oh, sorry, I said that the three of them will be publicly executed. Qin Luo loosened his right hand, but don't expect much apology in Qin Luo's tone. Flo, Doflamingo was about to start the next step of communication, but Qin Luo didn't give him a chance at all. After saying sorry, Qin Luo's belated execution began. Qin Luo snapped his fingers and started the execution signal. A lot of repulsion appeared on Smoothie, Cracker and Virgo. The sound of click and click of bone cracks kept coming, and blood splashed out from the three of them, staining their bodies red. And gradually take on the shape of the repulsive wall squeezing them. 3 blood-colored coffins formed in the air. If I read correctly, these 3 coffins are still getting smaller. Rebuking the coffin, Qin Luo got the inspiration from the black coffin that Aidu used to deal with the Red Earl, and it was of no use other than torture, so he has only had the opportunity to display it now. Even the wails of the 3 were suppressed in the sealed coffin and could not be heard. At this time, neither devil fruit nor armament hockey has any effect. In the end, driven by the repulsive force, the 3 blood coffins fell to the ground like meteors, bringing up a blood-red afterimage and smashing into the ground. After a while, without the restraint of repulsion, blood overflowed from the 3 holes in the ground and flowed to the feet of Big Mom and Doflamingo. Qin Luo's execution was too sudden and too shocking. 3 fighting forces with a bounty of at least 500 million had no power to fight back. They were killed like a chicken slaughter, and they were still so terrifying. Way to die. Luyun, what do you mean? Do you want to fight with us, and never stop? At this time, the other pirates lowered their heads and dared not look directly at Qin Luo, and their hearts shivered coldly. Only the ant dared to talk to Luyun. Ha, you think too much. There is no such thing as a dead fish and a net. I just want to take you down, Qin Luoyan said calmly. Then there's nothing to talk about, said the ant. There's nothing to talk about in the first place. Thank me for giving you the opportunity to speak, sinner. Qin Luo finally understood why the villain was talking so much. This kind of feeling is really good. There is a kind of pleasure of playing cat and mouse. As for those villains who died of too much talk, it can only be said that these bosses are not yet home to practice. You guys are going to continue to be turtles. Don't you plan to let us go without seeing the other party? Pick up your weapons and kill this bastard. The ant shouted loudly. She wanted to mobilize all the pirates to deal with Qin Luo killing intent. That's right, Luyun, right. I've wanted to fight you for a long time. Kaido dropped his 9 tails and ran towards the Dragon Palace city quickly. He lifted a fallen fishman house on the side of the road and flew towards Qin Luo. Such a big thing, not even a hidden weapon, how could Qin Luo be tricked? The kaleidoscope pattern in his eyes opened, and the black Amaterasu flames burned violently above the flying house. Under Chin Luo's urging, Amaterasu's flames were unusually fierce, swallowing the entire house in less than 3 seconds. The flying house kept disintegrating in the air and was burned by the Amaterasu flames. It turned into the last ash 5 meters in front of Chin Luo and disappeared completely. After that, Kaido threw a few houses over again. It really gives you a face, Kaido is throwing more and more vigorously. Chin Luo grabbed Kaido's void. Gravity took Kaido off the ground, crashed all the houses he threw at a faster speed than the houses he threw, and flew directly in front of Chin Luo. And Chin Luo's left fist is already ready to go, the physical strength plus 1,000 times the repulsion. When Chin Luo clenched his fist with his left hand, 2 voices came out. One was the muffled sound of his fist squeezing the air, and the other was the sound of Kaido's heart jumping. It was fear. Kaido felt it for the first time, and the fist made his wild heart beat with fear. With a dong punch, a clean opening, a basketball-sized hole appeared in Kaido's chest. The ribs and spinal bones around the hole were completely broken, and the wound was as smooth as a sharp knife. And those flesh and blood splashed directly on the barrier at the top of Fishman Island, and a blood flower exploded. Chapter 518 Chaos Field. The monster like Kaido did not have Chin Luo's repulsive grasp, and fell vertically to the ground like a dead fish. Difficulty, Kaido vomited blood and said, "Haha, it's this power, the world's #1 power, kill me with this power." Strange obsessions remain in Kaido's heart just like the magic barrier. How crazy he must be, this time the pirates of the joint forces have some clear understanding. Even Kyuubi, who had just fought Kaido, couldn't help but murmur that Kaido was more of a monster than it was. Dealing with Kaido, Chin Luo thought that it was time for the Fishman Island farce to end. Chin Luo slowly moved the position above the center of the many pirates of the combined forces, and an energy that blurred the space and blurred the air continued to condense in his hands, gradually approaching the turbid gray. I don't know who fired the first shot. Looking at the increasingly terrifying energy in Chin Luo's hands, the pirates didn't want to sit and wait to die. Whether it was to escape from the port, or to shoot Chin Luo in the air. There are all kinds of pirates, which throws them into chaos. Often the person in front tried to attack Chin Luo who was flying in the air, while the person behind wanted to escape, and the two collided like this. All attacks were blocked by an invisible repulsion barrier 1 meter in front of Chin Luo, looking at the combined forces below. Under the gaze of Anti, Doflamingo, Gecko Moria, Kaido and other New World pirates, Chin Luo threw the energy ball in his hand at them. Without Chin Luo's suppression, the tyrannical attraction and repulsion sputtered out of the energy ball. In just 1 second, the gray-white energy ball turned into a hemispherical energy field that enveloped all the pirates of the joint forces. In the eyes of the many pirates of the allied forces, they only saw Lu Yun throwing out the gray-white energy ball in his hand, and then his eyes darkened, and his body seemed to be in the swirl of the ocean. In the hemispherical energy field, there are irregular repulsion and attraction everywhere. The chaotic force field took the lead in distorting the light beams in the entire star space, which was the cause of the darkness in front of many pirates. The entire energy field is a space whirlpool. Even 100 times the sea surface whirlpool and tornado are not as tyrannical as it is. Whether it is an ordinary pirate or an existence like Anti, they are deprived of the ability to resist in this force field. You can't even resist the gravity of the Earth, so how can you resist this chaotic force field? At any time and anywhere, the gravitational and repulsive forces are irregular. In the last 0.1 second, you may be pulled upward by gravity, and in the next 0.1 second, you may be pushed to the right by the repulsive force. Katakuri also briefly loses the ability to foresee the future, or it is useless to foresee. The pirates of the combined forces are like Schrödinger's cat in the chaotic force field, and even life and death become blurred. Looking at the chaotic force field that lasted for a full 5 seconds, even Chin Luo felt incredible. He never thought that this move would have such a powerful effect. At this moment, even Chin Luo himself could not see the chaotic force Situation on the field. Qin-luo also discovered that his research on repulsion and gravitation is still too little. With full repulsion and gravitation, he is still at a very ordinary stage in the use of these two forces. This chaotic force field is nothing but an enhancement and extension of the previous moves. Qin-luo secretly made up his mind to restudy several of his abilities when he has time. He can be even stronger, just like these devil fruit abilities are constantly digging out their own fruit abilities. After 10 seconds passed, the chaos force field finally calmed down, and the chaos force field began to show his true appearance. The other hemispherical land where the ground is located has disappeared, and the pirates of the joint forces have appeared in various positions of the spherical force field, both in the sky and at the bottom of the pit. The vanished land turned into dust and scattered everywhere. Blood, corpses, and severed limbs are the main colors in the force field at this time. Because the energy of inertia and force field has not been completely dissipated, these are fixed in the force field, just like time stands still. Phew! As the force field blew a lot of gust of wind around, the frozen picture in the force field began to rotate. Rain of blood, corpses, dust, sparsely fell to the ground. At this time, even the surviving pirates of the Allied forces lost their consciousness. In the chaotic force field for only 1 second, ordinary pirates could not receive it, and after about 5 seconds, even Ant and Kaido lost consciousness. This chaotic force field lasted for 10 seconds. For the pirates of the combined forces, survival or death is not divided according to the strength of strength, but luck. The heads of the Ant and Katakuri were separated from their bodies at this time, and Qin-luo could see it very clearly. And Kaido, who was seriously injured by Qin-luo, only lost 2 arms. Kaido is probably the only survivor of the combined forces. It's really an existence that is hated by the god of death. Even this can't take you away. Qin-luo whispered. He really wanted to compare Kaido and Feijuan, which life force is more tenacious. Probably shocked by the scene in front of him, Whitebeard, Itachi, Tsunade, Momoshiki, and Kyuubi, who were taken away by Qin-luo with Shinwei in advance, covered their mouths or clenched their fists and couldn't speak. Luyun. God, is that your true strength? Whitebeard turned out to be dissatisfied with Luyun's delay in showing up and the Luyun pirates' dissatisfaction with him for concealing the news that Luyun was still alive. When he was speaking, he was stunned, and involuntarily added the word, God, behind Luyun. As expected of Mr. Luyun, your strength is not something that ordinary people like me can imagine. Ninetails acted like a loyal dog at this time. Itachi and Tsunade also looked at Qin-luo with admiration. Momoshiki was a little better. She had seen the huge meteorite that fell in the Holy Land Mariajoy with her own eyes, and her receiving ability was relatively high. Don't worship brother, brother is just a legend. Qin-luo smiled to himself. Anyway, with a mask covering it, no one could tell even if he smiled. After finally putting away his smile, Qin-luo landed on the ground and said, Stop talking about this, Whitebeard, bring your pirate group here, the scene needs to be controlled. Whitebeard looked at the devastated ground, and was a little confused about what Luyun said to control the situation, but Luyun had already instructed him, so he just did what Luyun ordered. But Tsunade and Itachi understood very well what Qin-luo meant by controlling the scene. He was going to use the reincarnation technique. Tsunade and Itachi looked at each other, disappeared, and returned to Ryugu Castle to find Neptune. Chapter 519 Final Resistance. Tsunade and Itachi quickly met Neptune. Although Neptune, the king of Fishman, did not do it himself due to lack of strength, he had been observing the situation. Qin-luo's chaotic force field made a lot of noise. After the force field ended, the hurricane that erupted almost razed the city that had been destroyed by the pirates to the ground. Ryuguchung also trembled in this hurricane. Such a big movement, even an ordinary fishman knew that something big was going on outside, but how could Neptune not know that Qin-luo used such a trick to clean up all the coalition forces? Soon Neptune came to the main entrance of Ryugu Castle with the Fishman Island soldiers who could still move, and met Itachi and Tsunade who happened to be looking for him. No, Chinluo shook his head. The casualties of these fishman soldiers were still too great. With so many people, they couldn't even control the mass graves under their feet, not to mention those in the port. Whitebeard, who was using the phone to contact Marco, feeling the eyes from Lu Yun, Whitebeard couldn't help urging him. Marco on the other end of the phone bug was crying. Dad, it's not that I'm willing to obey your orders. There are still a few stubborn ships still blocking the entrance to the sea. We can't get through here. I'm not saying, make it clear to them that those who attacked Fishman Island are all dead. Kaido and Charlotte Linlin are all dead. Whitebeard shouted. But, Marco blinked, trying to say that he had already said it, but those people didn't believe it. No matter what method you use, you will bring someone over immediately. Whitebeard interrupted Marco, and hung up the phone after speaking, not giving a chance to refuse at all. Beep, 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 from the phone bug, several black lines were drawn on Marco's head. Since Dad has ordered it, as a son, Marco must run through his will. Everyone, attack immediately, target the beast pirates and other resisting ships, and the resistors will be killed. Marco shouted loudly, although I don't know what Marco and Whitebeard talked about, but the order is the order. The surrounding ships of the Whitebeard pirates aimed their muzzles at the beast pirates in the middle, which were still resisting, and ignited the leads without hesitation. The fire continued to ignite at the entrance of the undersea tunnel, and explosions blew these ships into funnels. Drought Jack couldn't figure out what was going on. Wasn't Marco still trying to persuade him to surrender, so suddenly he fired. Stop, Marco, we're still thinking, what do you mean? The captain who could still shout like that could only mean they were alive. Drought Jack also jumped up and rushed towards Marco. In the shelling just now, the loss of the beast pirates was not small, and many people in the pirates became fireworks at sea. Whether it's resistance or revenge, Jack Drought now wants to ask Marco for an explanation, using Marco's life. I don't have time to chat with you. Dad has a new order. Either obey or die. Time is not on your side. Make a decision now. If you want to surrender, you can put down your weapons and surrender. While Marco was speaking, the Whitebeard pirates' commandos had already started boarding the ships of the still resisting pirates. Because a large number of people are guarding the pirates who have surrendered, in terms of numbers, the Whitebeard pirates' commandos do not have much advantage in number and strength. Doing so would inevitably lead to some casualties, but Marco couldn't care less about it now. Camera turned to Fishman Island. Under Chinluo's gaze, Whitebeard hung up the phone bug and raised his thumb to Chinluo, his big white teeth leaking from the corner of his mouth. In this way, Chinluo involuntarily associated him with someone in Naruto. That's right, it's you, Kay. This is probably the masculinity of a man. It's your dick. Whitebeard only felt his eyes go black, and when he opened his eyes again, his face was stuck to the ground for some reason. It's amazing, did the earth just flipped or caused an earthquake? And why is the ground so wet, as if some liquid has flowed onto his head? Dad. A team of pirates brought by Whitebeard quickly helped Whitebeard up and wiped the blood from his head. Whitebeard, what's the matter with you? Did someone sneak up on you? Chinluo's blood-splashed right hand ignited an Amaterasu flame, so naturally he did the act of destroying corpses in front of the Whitebeard pirates. Being so concerned by Lu Yunshin, ask Whitebeard if he is moved. Daring to move at all, Whitebeard and his crew acted as if they hadn't seen it. Is there any trouble up there? Chinluo asked. This time, Whitebeard probably wanted to understand why he was beaten, and nodded his head like a rattle. Since this is the case, I will solve it. Tsunade, please tell Whitebeard all your plans. Next, you will need the cooperation of the Whitebeard pirates. It's okay to tell them. Without waiting for Tsunade's reply, Chinluo disappeared. Yes, Tsunade said reluctantly. Chinluo was just avoiding the embarrassing situation just now. He beat Whitebeard inexplicably, but asked her to explain, although Tsunade also wanted to beat Whitebeard just now. Impulse. When Chinluo appeared on the sea, it happened to be when Marco pushed Drought Jack back again. Chin Luo swept the situation on the entire sea and found that there were not many acquaintances at all. Waved to Marco and Drought Jack who were fighting. Chin Luo appeared silently, and when someone found something wrong, Marco and Drought Jack were both imprisoned by Chin Luo. Can you tell me what's going on here? Chin Luo said to Marco who was caught by him. Lu Yun is you. Doubt's sweat came out of Marco's head, and he was caught by Chin Luo again, and bad memories appeared in his mind. Wait, you let go of you first, and you speak well. As Chin Luo finished speaking, Marco found that he was free again, while Jack in the drought was not so lucky. Chin Luo's confinement force used a little more, and he had fainted. Marco, who had regained his calm, spoke out about the rebellion of the allied pirates. Just such a trivial matter, Chin Luo said with contempt in his tone, and he snapped his fingers. Marco was about to retort, but the sight in front of him stunned him. Chapter 520 Speed is all about waves. Reason, Marco had an ominous feeling after nodding. Sit firmly, it may be a little bumpy, but it's guaranteed to be exciting. Chin Luo turned to Marco's evil place issue. After a while, the originally calm sea surface gradually rose, and some experienced navigators showed suspicious eyes. Such a rhythm, in their sailing career, is often seen in heavy rain. Heavy rain, and the huge waves that come with it, are one of the most dangerous factors in this sea, aside from the sea kings. However, the surrounding sky was clear, and there was no strong wind. It was a ghost. While these navigators were still thinking about this, huge waves suddenly rose from the sea. This is that the pirates present have never seen a strange giant wave in their lives. Circle after circle of circular waves lifted the ships of the Whitebeard pirates and the captured pirates into the air. Centered on the entrance of the undersea tunnel, a total of 8 giant waves inside and outside arranged all the pirate ships clearly, and none of them pulled. The farther away you are from the entrance of the undersea tunnel, the bigger the waves. Each giant wave is very closely spaced, and they are completely close to each other. The pirates on the next giant wave can even look down on all the pirates in front. Marco knew that these huge waves were naturally the masterpieces of the man with the mysterious mask in front of him. Except for Lu Yunshin, there is no other person in this world who can do such terrifying things. Ladies and gentlemen, the wave train to Fishman Island is in place. Please fasten your seat belts and grab the handrails. If you have any questions or accidents, please ask Death. It's time to go. Chin Luo slowly floated into the air above the entrance of the undersea tunnel and shouted loudly. At this time, a pillar formed by seawater was held at Chin Luo's feet. After he finished speaking, the seawater column led Chin Luo into the underwater tunnel, and the speed was about the same as that of a free fall. Marco finally understood what Chin Luo meant by some bumps. It was really, some, bumps. Marco's face turned green with fright. Dad, I'm going to get off the bus, it's not really a car to kindergarten at all. This is the most realistic portrayal of Marco's heart at this time. Everyone, find something that can be grabbed. This is the wave created by Lu Yunshin, and it is also his warning to everyone. If you, Marco thought of doing his duty and wanted to start the car. I told the members of the Whitebeard pirates before. However, because the pirate ship that Marco was in the first sequence, that is, the first giant wave that entered the underwater tunnel after Chin Luo left. So Marco's words after that all turned into his screams. Let a devil fruit person play underwater drifting, and normal people have this reaction. Compared to what Marco said in front of him, the continuous screams behind him were obviously convincing. Each pirate, whether it was the Whitebeard pirates or the previous allied forces, all hug the hull beside them. They just hate that they don't have glue on themselves, and they stick themselves completely to the boat. 8 giant waves connected into a whirlpool composed of waves, and the pirate ships lined up and were thrown into the underwater tunnel at a very fast speed, completely experiencing a different kind of submarine roller coaster. Whitebeard and the others, who were waiting in the square in front of the main gate of Ryugu Castle, also felt a loud noise approaching. It's a murmur of waves, crashing and screaming, originating from the port where the undersea tunnel is located. Among the many expectations, Qin-luo took the lead in rushing out from the exit of the undersea tunnel, with the dragon-like waves under his feet. This is just the beginning. Behind Qin-luo, followed by a pale-faced Marco. This man, the captain of the first team of Whitebeard, was limply hugging the sails of the pirate ship at this time. His voice became hoarse due to excessive crying. His face was either tears or snot. Whitebeard thought he had hallucinations, but he wasn't. Pirates like this abounded in the back. Huge waves wrapped around these pirate ships. Under Qin-luo's control, they flew out from the exit of the submarine tunnel and flowed around the port 553. Finally, all the pirate ships were safely parked in the open space of the port. Qin-luo was satisfied with his control. After feeling that his development of gravity and repulsion was not enough, Qin-luo began to think about whether his other abilities were not fully developed. Just now, Qin-luo took the opportunity to experiment with the ability of the Overlord of the Sea. Rather than simply summoning the waves and controlling the weather, Qin-luo tried to control those waves with his own consciousness. Sure enough, as Qin-luo thought, the waves were controlled by him, as he wanted. Qin-luo estimated that with the normal speed of the Whitebeard pirates entering Fishman Island from the underwater tunnel, plus queuing and scheduling, it would take nearly half an hour to drive all the ships into Fishman Island. But because of his whims, Qin-luo compressed the time into half a minute by manipulating the waves. Yes, in only half a minute, Qin-luo let all the pirate ships enter Fishman Island. This is a very terrifying speed. It takes 5 minutes for an ordinary ship to pass through the underwater tunnel. How is it, my perfect control? Qin-luo said proudly to Tsunade, Itachi, Whitebeard and others who arrived. And these people did not look at Qin-luo. Behind him, Marco and the others staggered to stand up, but after hearing Qin-luo's words, they slipped and fell again.